south side or the north side. Not tuned to the greatest. Home team for the home teams. Both sides got our own rings. On the mound or the long ball. But we don't put the wrong strings. Yeah. It's that time of the year now. Wrigley or Ganty, so the whole league that we hear now. New show with a new mood. Discussions and interviews. Trade rumors that might be. This is Pinwheels and Ivy.
Welcome to the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. My name is Aldo Soto, and along with me today is Kevin Fiddler. What's up, Kevin?
How we doing, Aldo? Good to be back. It's draft week, post All-Star. We are officially in the second half of the baseball season, so we're at the stretch run.
It was such a, I mean, the last time we were on, obviously we were talking about like a long Cubs losing streak. And then, you know, first half ends with like Contreras calling out the team. And then we hit the All-Star break. I was like in a shitty mood, like up till like the home run derby. But then, you know, you start just get into that. Things that don't, you know, just good old fashioned fun. Seeing guys hit dingers, All-Star game. But then we get the whole KB stuff during the All-Star game. You know, honestly though, with you know, Joe Buck asking that, like all you saw for the past like couple days, you see all the videos of Kris Bryant's answer, and it's like, as always, classiest fucking guy in the room. Nothing but love for Kris Bryant for the past week, so that's been great. And I know we've talked about up and down, like for the past couple of years, just the underappreciation, or just how underappreciated and the lack of like love and respect that, you know, a player that of Bryant's caliber should be getting from Cubs fans, and he just doesn't. But man, last week you tweet about Kris Bryant. You tweet in support of Kris Bryant. Your mentions are gonna be popping. Like I think Cubs fans, like it's finally like hitting their face, or you know, it's getting to that point. It's like, oh wait, they might actually lose this guy. And it's like, wait, no, we do want him. And yeah, you know, you still get like the few stragglers who are like, oh, he hasn't been good since his MVP year, which is obviously every single time that's tweeted, just it's proven wrong. Like just look at the numbers. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the past week, and then obviously we had the draft. So I mean, I know there's a couple of freakouts, including maybe yourself, Kevin, the Cubs' first round pick. Mm-hmm. But you know, at this point, draft time, it's like, hey, you know, you can be positive. You don't know how these guys are going to be, but so what do you want to start off with here, Kevin?
I mean, we could go ahead and jump right. We can do a deep dive right in the draft.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So, I mean,
what I was going to ask you, just in general terms, did anything like stand out in terms of like what the Cubs did in terms of, you know, the strategy of going, you know, it seems like they went high floor first round and then like took a couple big, like high reward or, you know, yeah, like high reward, high risk picks. You know, in the following rounds with some high school guys. So, anything stand out?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, obviously the Jordan Wicks pick, I was actually knee-jerk reaction. I was a tad. I was a little bit again. I think it started with the comps that we were getting from a lot of people that were more familiar with Wicks, Jordan Wicks, comparing him to Kyle Hendricks, and a left-handed Kyle Hendricks is not a great. You know, it's a decent floor, I guess, but that's more of an exception to the rule. So seeing that he was compared to Kyle Hendricks, I was like, it's kind of a crapshoot for a first overall pick. And now when you read the real comps and you read the more projections, you're seeing that he could really cap out at 95, not at 91, which is what they were saying. He throws like 88, 90. And I'm like, that, who drafts that? But now that you're seeing he could be up to a 95. Like, it's fine. I think for me, my more reaction was like, you guys, I mean, we said on the show, I wanted the Troy Sweeney kid bad. Mm-hmm. And the Yankees took him with the pick immediately ahead of the Cubs. And my second favorite pick of the draft for that spot was the Colin Montgomery kid, who they passed on and took, of course. The White Sox took him with their pick, and the White Sox got a really good ball player. And we'll talk about that later. But, you know, that kind of was one of the, you know, it was kind of like an over knee-jerk reaction on my part. But then you get deeper in the draft. You know, they took the James Triantos kid, the kid who hit like 700 in high school, his senior year, struck out like once in Virginia, though. And so there's some questions of whether he's seen quality talent or not. And how he'll adjust to it, but he's a left-handed bat. Or no, he's a right-handed bat. Excuse me, right-handed bat with he when he was drafted, they had a picture of him up, and he looked like the kid from Ender's Game. He looked so young, and it was like a gag because in that same round, the White Sox drafted a big third baseman from a high school in Arizona, and he looked like he was like 6'5" and about 40 years old. So kind of like a great little combo. But actually, for me, the biggest pick that I think the Cubs made was in the fourth round. Christian
Yes.
Franklin, the Arkansas kid, he was a projected late first, early second rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Struggled a little bit with batting average. His average struggled a little bit in this 2021 season, but the kid is a legitimate potential 5-tool guy if his contact comes back. And he is a great outfielder, a plus power. He could be a 20-20, 30-30. And you can look at this guy. And I think the Cubs, that's probably, for me, of all the picks the Cubs made, the Christian Franklin pick was a big one. He's, obviously coming out of University of Arkansas. He's a more mature guy. He's a 4-year junior. So he's an older, more mature guy. So he could develop faster, and little hiccups here and there with contact is probably minimal. I mean, look at the Cubs. I mean, contact is not super. It's power.
That's definitely in need of improvement.
Mm-hmm. And so, but that was a good one for me. I really, I got a big, they actually Cubs drafted 2 guys from Arkansas. Actually, they took the catcher from Arkansas as well, Casey I don't know if I'm gonna say his right, Opitz or Opitz. I don't know if I want to. I'll go with Opitz first, but it could be Opitz.
He has to earn the right for us to pronounce his name right. We need Zoe in here.
Right. And they did draft a guy in the 10th round that has 2 first names. So Peter Matt. Out of Duke, so that was interesting. But they went with a low floor guy in the first, a lefty. If he pans out, great. They could be like a 3 or 4 in your rotation. And then the Santos kid, you never know. He's listed as a shortstop. They had him as a third baseman on some other thing. So the Wicks kid was ranked 16th heading into the draft, so the Cubs got ahead of his at least projected rank. The Triantos kid from Virginia, he was a 78th rank, but he came in at 56. So you're around there. And in a baseball draft, as opposed to like NFL or basketball, I mean, the rankings are really more arbitrary than anything else. When it comes down to it, it's more convoluted because there's so much more talent spread out over many more distances.
And then also with like those rankings, and then especially like when you go to like the high school guys, you have to deal with like, there's like the slot payments, like, hey, you're going to have to go over slot on this guy. And hey, if he's telling guys behind the scenes, like, no, I'm committing to this school, as like my fucking screen's going crazy right now. But, it's going to be like, oh, like maybe I'm not going to sign with you. So maybe that guy slides a couple picks. But going back to the Cubs first round pick, Jordan Wicks, and like you brought up the velocity and, the comps that, I think you tweeted about, like, it's ridiculous to be making the Kyle Hendricks comp. It's like, and you were right. Like Kyle Hendricks is like, 1 in a million. Like you're not going to get a whole bunch of guys who are going to top out like at 87, 88 and dominate the way he has for 7 years that he's been in the majors. But I did say with Wicks being a lefty and like, I think he was like sitting at, low 90s, 91, 93, topping out like at 94, 95. But I saw this pointed out by a few people. The Cubs have done, for all the criticism, and they've deserved it, that the lack of developing pitching in this era of the Cubs. The past few years, they've done a great job of getting guys in and upping their velocity. So yeah, maybe right now he's averaging 92, 93, but like in a year or two, you could definitely see a guy getting stronger and getting it up there 94, 95 consistently. So like I never really worried about the whole velocity. It's like, oh, he's only throwing like 91, 92. Why are you drafting this guy? And if you have like an elite pitch, okay. I know you don't. I know no one wants to hear this, but worst case scenario, you can put Wicks like as a multi-inning reliever. If you have, I always feel if you have an elite pitch, you can get by. Now, obviously, it's like, can you get multiple pitches to become a reliable starter? That's a different story.
And that's the big question mark with Wicks is he going to be able to miss barrels? We live in a high velocity contact era where guys that throw hard are having a ton more success right now. But to me, the secondary stuff that they talk about with Wicks is very impressive too. And so what he's bringing to the table in that sense as well is a benefit. Because again, having a lefty that has, he graded out as the best lefty in the draft. So the Cubs did get at least the hands down selection as the best left-handed pitcher in the draft.
It's not like the Cubs went out there and just like took a guy who like completely came out of left field.
Right.
It's like, what were the Cubs doing there?
And he's mature. He's got a good frame. He's 6'3", 220. He could get bigger. There is room to grow in that frame. So that's, for me, obviously, I was just so excited. I wanted to try. It was a fantasy draft like fantasy football draft all over again. It was that moment where you're like, you have one more pick to go before it's you, and you think about the player. You're like, oh hell yes, I'm going to get, Ed McCaffrey with this pick. It's just sitting out there, and you're like, oh shit, I said it out loud. I thought it. Put it out into the world. And then as soon as like that happens, the Yankees come in and take him. So I'm like, all right, my next guy is Montgomery. Can't miss on this one. And then went Wicks. I'm like, Wicks who? And then, the White Sox, their pick came in like almost instantaneous. Like, haha, idiot. Like it was one of those moments like in the draft where, again, when you make a pick and then the guy after you immediately drafts, almost like they had him in like the applet, like in the queue. And they're like, oh, thank God they passed on that guy. And that was like a double red flag. So I was a little bit more, I need your reaction.
I think that was also the other. I mean, I don't know. It was tough, like judging like the time. And I remember I quote tweeted that one tweet from Jeremy Warren is like, I'm gonna be pissed off about my team not drafting this guy I just learned about. I mean, obviously that was me. I mean, you're much more into the guys coming up from high school and college and like all the draft stuff. But I think that kind of like for the Cubs fans who like may have been like, wait, because there was that tweet right before, like, it was like 5 minutes before the announcement was made, or the tweet came out of who the Cubs were going to get. And it was like, Montgomery, or the Cubs and White Sox are both interested in Montgomery. So obviously when the Cubs like pass on that guy and the White Sox immediately, it's like, that's our guy. Cubs fans are going to have like fucking like, flashbacks of like, oh fuck, we're going to like have to live this down like in 5 years when this guy's going to be like rookie of the year or something. But, in terms of actually, let's jump into one of these prospect related questions here on Facebook from Dan Fisher. Which prospect from the Padres trade is close to being ready for the majors? Sadly, none of them are really close. Like close, I guess we can use close as a relative.
Close?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think those guys are still like 3-4 years away. And obviously right now there are two guys who are really showing out. I think they're playing in Arizona. I think they're down in like I forget what they renamed it now, but it's Reggie Preciado, right? I'm saying that right. And then the left-handed bad Owen Casey.
Casey actually probably been the most impressive, I think, of all of them so far. But he's also a man child. The dude is a big bad ginger ninja. He's huge. I read a recent thing on him. Obviously, like he came in, and the thing on him was like big fucking guy, huge power. But the big thing with him as he's been playing this summer has been he's shown a great patience at the plate, which that was a big thing. It's like, oh, this guy like great power, but has a lot of swing and miss in his game. But apparently, so far in the games that he's been playing down in Arizona, showing great patience. So that's his defense is getting good reviews too. His defense he's got a plus arm. And he looks like a projectable future right fielder if he can continue the progression as expected, what you would at least project a guy. Obviously, got to play the games for a reason. But that's a great projection. I mean, that's probably the one I'd say that's closest. But 2024 being that close, I think is.
I mean, 3 years away. That's relatively close in terms of talking about our existence, right?
About these guys, and by the time they're ready, it'll be time for a new election, and it'll be.
I did want to ask you, Kevin. I know you briefly brought it up last week. We were talking about guys to look for in the draft, and obviously you were on Sweeney, and you brought it up right now. We went one pick ahead of the Cubs to the Yankees. So like, what was it about him? It's like, man, like I want this guy.
So he's obviously he's a shortstop in college. You're talking about Sweeney, right? And so he is obviously going to be a guy that would be shifting over either to the two bagger spot or to a corner. But he has a very good contact bat. He has a very good eye. He took a lot of walks. He's got some pop though too, and he's a left-handed bat. It's really nice to get a guy that's going to play, a right-hander's position, but comes out with a left-handed bat. I mean, that's I love guys that have that switchy, where they're the opposite of what they throw, especially in his case. You never really want a left-handed thrower that bats right-handed. That always sucks. But you have a right, so he splits that side of the plate as well, and so he has that. Man, he's a mature bat, and I really, and I've spoken to a few people that know about him, and they're really high on him. As a ball player, as more than just a ball player, but as a guy that, when the intangibles, mental toughness, integrity, the kind of guys that aren't going to be a problem, guys that are going to control their emotions, guys that are going to put in the work, guys that aren't just pissing and sitting on their talent. You want those kind of guys that have kind of worked their way there. And, he might've been a little bit small, but he he projects like a guy that you could really move around the infield and really, again, I think this is I think it's not just KB setting some sort of new trend. I think this is the real trend. I think that that more versatile players is the wave of the future here in Major League Baseball, because it allows you flexibility with free agents. It allows you flexibility with rest days. It allows you flexibility over the grind. And so, and of course, then again, it allows you to, if you have a player that you're negotiating with that plays a position and this person can play it just as adequately, it gives you leverage in a negotiation with a more of a superstar. So I think that, except when you have a superstar that plays 5 positions, then it makes it really difficult because there's really nothing there to argue. But limited players, it increases value. It increases flexibility with lineups too. So I like those types of guys, and he projects as one of those guys. Who knows? He could have, with Sweeney, he could end up in the outfield for the Yankees. Who knows? But I was a big fan of him, and then the Montgomery kid with the White Sox is just a freak.
Yeah,
freak. Like, I wanted the freak show. I was here for it, and so
I do agree. I think for most drafts, like talking about professional sports here, I think I'd always lean on the side of like just getting the talent over like. I'm not going to say like Jordan Wicks isn't going to turn out to be anything, but like he was definitely the high 4 guy. Like, okay, like you kind of get an idea of what you can get from him. Obviously, you're taking a high school shortstop or a high school kid. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, there could be high risk, high reward, but like if the talent is there, maybe you roll the dice on that.
You want to draft on ability and like talent I'm very similar. I want talent over need. Mm-hmm. When you start drafting for need, you hog tie yourself. You end up missing the rest of the board because you're like, I'm only looking for a left-handed starter. So I'm going to ignore this freak show over here, or this you're going to miss something if you go into a draft thinking I've got to have this. I can't not draft this with my first pick. That's dangerous. And so it's short-sighted, I think. But it sounds like they were really sold on this guy. I would love to know if Sweeney was like their first pick. Mm-hmm. And when Sweeney went, Wicks was like number 2, and they were like, all right, well, no problem. Let's go with Wicks. But
yeah, I hope their draft strategy wasn't like mine. Talking about fantasy football, it's like, oh shit, they took my guy, and I'm just panicking. I hope that wasn't the case. But we have another question here in the chat. And again, if you're listening to this on either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to on podcasts, we do record these podcasts live every Thursday night. And you can join the chat. You can, ask questions, comment, keep it going with other people. But on Facebook from Brian Goodlow, what's the word on Ed Howard? Ed Howard, obviously the Cubs' first-round pick from 2020 at Myrtle Beach this season. Still 19, first full professional season in the minors. Overall numbers, I mean, they don't look pretty. 220 batting average, 264 on base, only a 578 OPS, but in the month of July, he has been getting going here, and he's batting right now. He's batting 324. I think you shared his home run the other day or last night. I think on Wednesday, a laser out to left. So obviously, he's only 19, and I think was it the case he didn't play right? And obviously, they didn't play in 2020. Yeah, he didn't have a senior year. He hasn't played like organized games in like 2 years.
In fact, what is today? The 15th. So yesterday, actually, he was 3 for 5 with a jack, couple RBIs, and 2 runs scored. So he had 6 total bases. So, and then he's had 2 multi-hit games in his last 3. So maybe. And
he's been hot. Again, July and what is this now? Like 37 at bats. He's batting 324. So
had a 4-hit game on July 2nd. I mean,
slowly but surely. Yeah.
Flashes, and that's what these younger guys do. I mean, again, you want them to be ready, but you can't rush them, and you'd hope that they would develop fast. But again, with these guys, freak shows like an Ed Howard, or those types of guys. Christian Hernandez is also obviously probably the top prospect in the whole organization, the international free agent they signed last year, or was it this year? Last year.
I think technically this year.
This year, yeah, and he's also right now he looks like about 112 pounds soaking wet, but. Yeah. The twitch is there. And so with those guys, when the light turns on, the light turns on. And it could be at age 20, it could be at age 24. Like, you don't know. But you give them the amount of reps and the instruction that they need to continue to grow. And Ed Howard was already a big guy. I foresee him being ready when he's about 20, 21, probably 21. But we look at the Major League Baseball, cycle as it looks right now. How many 20-year-old kids are coming to fruition now at 20?
And it's the freak guy.
It's not even. It's no longer shocking because it's happening so frequently.
Right.
21's not a weird age to say, is this kid going to make it?
Because I think I'm trying to think right now. I think the youngest that we've seen recently has been. Wait, how old is Wander Franco? Franco from the Rays, because he was recently called up. And then, I mean, obviously, there's Juan Soto, who went from like AA, like straight to the Nationals a few years ago. Kevin right now is had to be whisked away here. But I wanted to ask Kevin, when he comes back now, transitioning to the major league club. Obviously there's a long break after the Cubs. They had the shit show on Saturday against the Cardinals. You had Wilson Contreras calling out the team's effort. The next day, the game got rained out. So we didn't get like any immediate reactions from the players, but Ross obviously didn't like it. I mean, honestly, I didn't like it either. That was bad luck. But for now, I'm going to stay away from that for now. I mean, if Kevin wants to bring it up, that's fine. But I want to ask Kevin, transitioning to just, players, and you talk about Chris Bryant playing all the positions. He made a comment about it. If he can play one position, like just going forward in his career, it'd be center field. Thoughts on that, Kevin?
Yeah, everyone wants to play center field.
Everybody wants to be Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, let's face it.
But no, he's been good out there, so he's fine.
Objectively speaking, like aren't like the two coolest like positions like shortstop and center field?
Yeah, you're the cool guy. Of course, you're the cool guy. Everyone wants to play, when you're playing pickup football with your buddies. How many? What do you fight over? People don't fight over.
Who wants to be?
Almost fights over the dude snapping the football. They're like, no, I'm the quarterback. Fine, and you like got to flip for it. But no, I think he, and I'm glad that he does, and he can play there on occasion. But I think that he projects more as a right fielder. I think he, with his glove, his forehand side to the left center field gap allows him to cover the left field line. He's got good, quick feet for a big guy, and he's got stretch. So I think that, you throw him out and left, you get yourself an admiral. And again, we're talking about this stuff, and we haven't even brought up Brennan Davis, who looks to be the future of the center field position.
At the Futures game, 2 home runs, wins the Futures game, MVP. Incredible day for him. Right.
And so like a KB, he's going to fit in where he needs to go. But yeah, I love the comment where he was just like, look, I fill the gaps. I fill the holes.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's a good teammate. And that's value. So I liked how he answered the question, and we don't have to talk about the other stuff that we talked about earlier today, but I mean, the other kind of questions he was asked, that's a personal taste thing. And he when I answered his questions properly, he sold himself. He walked out of that game with a higher value, I think, at least as far as optics are concerned, by answering the questions. But he did a good job of explaining too. I think his ability to fill those gaps, and I don't think he's the only one. I mean, God, if Ian Happ was hitting, Ian Happ would be valuable as hell too, because Ian could play all 3 spots and play second, play third. And it's he's just not getting it together at the plate. And those kind of guys, God, how much they help a team. When you had a guy that you could just say, hey, so-and-so, this guy's struggling today. Can you go cover this for a couple of days till he gets right? No problem. And you fill the gap, and you put in you give somebody else an opportunity in another spot that might be stuck behind that position, because there is somebody that's a good ball player in that role. They can slide in and get their opportunities. And think the White Sox. I mean, does Andrew Vaughn even get a look this year if everybody's healthy? Yeah. And the question is no. And at that point, they were no way he's going to play left. He's actually done a really good job in left field for the White Sox. So sometimes you've got, having guys like that allow you to see the breadth of your talent on your roster easier, and allows the lineup, gives just such great flexibility for writing a lineup too. And so, I mean, that was a great comment on him. And center field, though, I know buddy, I love you to death. Not every day.
I think maybe this is just more of a indictment against Jason Hayward than anything, but like you've noticed, when they did have to make that switch, when they had the outfield injuries, who was the guy that was put in center field at first? It wasn't Jason Hayward. It was Chris Bryant. Mm-hmm. And you brought up Ian Happ and the struggles at the plate, and you brought him up the other day in our chat, about a potential trade there for Happ, and I was thinking about it. It was like, we're getting a deja vu of guys just like torpedoing their value to like, now it's like Happ has like the value is gone. You can't really get anything from him right now. He's controlled for a few more years, but he's been brutal.
It's 2019. Or no, 2019 Kyle Schwarber, when we were on the podcast, and I was like, we need to trade him now because his value is at peak. And everyone's like, no. And then they non-tendered him. So now Ian Happ last offseason, because he played 60 games and had a great 60 games, but 60 games and there's 100 more to go. And so in his case, high value. And then that would have been, again, these are moments now twice that the Cubs had a guy that was at a maybe peak value for their entire career that they could have packaged with Jason Hayward's salary and balanced it out with a team willing to take on a little bit of that money to get rid of that contract with another player. Obviously, Hayward's never going to go as a singular trade.
Right.
Never going to happen. It's going to have to be packaged. You have to package it with somebody. And they've had twice now dudes at possibly max career value, and they sat on their hands. And
I mean, now, like individually speaking, like just like game by game, at bat by at bat, Javi Baez, there's no other guy that has the highest of highs, lowest of lows. But if you look at Ian Happ, 2017 rookie year, fantastic. I think he had like 24 home runs in 4.5 months. He was amazing. 2018, kind of a decline. He wasn't going to keep up that like tremendous pace. 2019, he doesn't even start the year with the big league club. He doesn't even get to the majors until the end of July. And credit to him, though. I mean, he spent those 3.5 months or 4 months down in Iowa. And hey, he did get better because when he came back, he had the last 2 months in 2019. He was good. He had the incredible stretch. Honestly, it was more like it was like a 30, 35 game period in 2020. But since the beginning of September and then going into this season, it's been just downhill again. Yeah, that's frustrating.
He's probably just drinking the wrong coffee. He probably just needs a new blend of coffee, perhaps now. And again, people are going to give him guff because he started doing a podcast and he started logging on and getting a little bit more interactive. That has nothing to do with this. People have to understand these ball players have lives. They're not at a batting cage 18 hours.
And the thing is, last year when he was raking, he was still doing the podcast last year too. So
yeah, that's the funniest one. Oh no, I just like to blame. I blame the coffee.
Yeah, the coffee. It's like, or start drinking a new rum, new coffee, something.
Maybe go Starbucks for a couple days if the Starbucks cracks you out of it. But and that sucks because Ian Happ's a good dude, man. He is, and it just something interesting I thought about Ian Happ too. You brought up those good seasons that he had, right? He had a WRC plus of 114 and 17, a 106 in 18, a 128 in 19, a 132 in 20, and a 78 this year. He actually he's graded out, as far as run creation as an above average major league hitter. Here's Javi's, for example. And Javi's WRC plus 54, 97, 94, 98, and the good that massive 2018 131, and then 19 114, and 20 57, and this year 107. I mean, Ian Happ technically has a better career.
He's been you know why though? Because he can walk.
He walks. Why do we like him?
It's
on base.
See, that's a shout out to Jordan Lazowski, who does it for Grandal. And I wish we could do that for the Cubs, but Ian Happ just isn't slugging this year, so I can't even do that because he's slugging in the 300s, which is awful. I do want to get into some of the trade rumor stuff. I did title this. I wanted to bring it up to you because I think you brought it up. I forget what day it was, maybe Monday. Jesse Rogers goes on the radio, drops a little nugget, and yes, sometimes we do shit on guys, including Jesse Rogers, but hey, you gotta give credit to the guy. The last couple times he's thrown out some Cubs info, he's been right. I think he was one of the first few guys who was like, hey, look out for a Yu Darvish trade. It might happen, while we're all thinking there's no fucking way. And I think in less than 2 weeks, he was traded to the Padres. And he dropped this nugget on Monday, which was, he's obviously at the All-Star game, whatever he's hearing, whoever he's talking to, the GM, scouts, whatever, I think he said that he doesn't think any of Rizzo, Bryant, or Baez are going to be traded at the deadline.
Yeah, it's a 180 for him, simply because Jesse Rogers is not someone with a small ego by any chance, and it's hard to say that you were wrong. And he's openly said that he's changed his prediction. There's some weight to that. I don't, John Heyman or Jeff Passan or any of these national guys, Bob Nightingale, for God's sake. But, those guys aren't on the ground level. They're not hearing everything in the hallways. They're not hearing every creak and every door slam. And so for someone like, Jesse Rogers to come out and say something like that, where he does believe that they're all staying put and that this isn't going to happen, is very telling to me. You can read whatever tea leaves you want to, but that one to me, that's honestly, that's mean, to admit publicly that you changing your position in this day and age is hard. Let's be honest, because people are like, well, you still said it. Well, yeah, I didn't. I was wrong. And you got to say I was wrong at 8.
I've always said I have no clue why people have such a hard time saying I was wrong.
And I think it's concerned too that there people are like, well, you didn't. You said it this before. I'm like, yeah, I know. I said I was wrong. And now you got to now for the next 10 years, you got to keep explaining to people that pull up tweets from 2017, ignoring their comment from 2021. So it's that's kind of the hard part. But that was a pretty interesting thing. And we've talked about it on the show. I do believe that the best option forward in this situation is to extend a qualifying offer to all 3. They can take it. If Rizzo takes it, great. You know what?
I think at this point, I think he's going to be begging for that qualifying.
Yeah, I would take Rizzo for that qualifying offer because they owe him a couple bucks anyway for him taking the pay cut last time. That's not a loss for that. That's called respecting the guy. But I think Javi and KB can extend the Q offer and go into this if they don't sign. And again, there's so much time in between in that offseason, letting them. Letting things kind of mellow out a little bit and actually getting into it. No more trade rumors for KB and Javi at this point. They get to enjoy their offseason going, I get to choose my destiny at that point. And Rizzo too, possibly at that point. And, with those guys, I think that if you don't sign them, and I think they're very signable, both of them. I don't know how long you want Javi as do you want Javi long-term or not? But I think they're signable. And I think there's other shortstop options on the market. Yeah. There's only one KB on the market, but if you get those, if you don't land them, look at the draft this year. Look at the comp round draft this year for everybody in the Cubs market. Now, if the Cubs were a poor team, as much as Tom Ricketts pretended they don't get the draft in the poor part of which is right after the first round. They get the rich people comp pick. But if you look at the numbers and the guys that were selected in the comp picks in that round, I mean, you're talking about a guy. I mean, obviously the Pirates in the Pirates, they got a guy, the 9th ranked prospect in that first comp pick round. But you're looking at guys, the 64th, the 65th pick, the Orioles landed, or let's see here, like the 67th pick, the Diamondbacks took a kid that was ranked 42nd. With the 69th pick, a dude ranked 45th. You've got these guys that are falling, and next year's going to be even more loaded. You've got a lot of options. And if you get 2 picks in that comp pick round, I mean, I personally would prefer comp picks over mid to low level talent that's been in an organization for 1-2 years and has been bad. Like, I don't want a kid that's hitting 180 that was supposed to be good one day. I'd rather have the Cubs go pick their guy and say, I'd rather get a top, immediately you draft a dude in the third, in essence, what's like the 64th through the 71st pick or whatever. Those dudes should become one of the top 15 players in your system if you're doing it pretty well. So I think you have a better shot of getting more elite talent with those comp picks as opposed to, trading for people that may, a 20-year-old kid that's been in an organization for 2 years and has just struggled. Yeah. Doesn't mean they're done, but it just, I don't feel like the risk is worth it when you're going to talk about those guys. Because the risk for me, I'd rather take a risk and maybe sign those guys and get the comp picks than trade those guys and they're gone for good. Because anybody the old, maybe they'll pull a Aroldis Chapman and the Cubs will trade him and then they'll come back. I'm telling you right now, you put KB in a suitcase for the next 2.5 months and make him leave his family for the next 2.5 months with his young guy, Kyler, just growing up. He ain't coming back. It's over. It's done. That's the nail in the coffin. And maybe Javi would do it, but I think that Javi, I don't know how Javi, I don't know Javi's mindset. I do know that he's got a family too. And that's a disruption to the utmost. And I think Javi's kids, little guy's younger than Kyler is.
I think he has 2. And I think one of them, his second was born this year. I think. Yeah.
So that's a pipe dream. When anyone throws that out there, I'm like, God, yeah, I know. And I believed in Santa Claus once too. Like, sorry. I know Alex Rude still does. Alex was kidding. Santa does exist. I was joking.
And don't worry, Alex. We are going to have another separate show with Zoe. Zoe apparently all the trains just shut down in Chicago, or they just took away trains for Zoe coming back from his office. So we'll have Zoe on later on another stream tonight talking about the Sox. But I was scrolling up here and looking at an earlier comment from Dan Fisher. And again, if you're listening to the podcast, we do stream every Thursday night. You come join us. Come join us in the chat. Dan Fisher, I think this is like just the reason why we're not going to see, I mean, especially for Chris Bryant. And I think it's why Chris Bryant is still with the Cubs. Dan Fisher says, I don't think the Cubs will get the trade value for Bryant in a trade. Like, I think that's just what it boils down to. And like you said, like, you're going to be underwhelmed with what teams are going to be offering. And it's like, well, worst case scenario, we'll extend the qualifying offer. He probably isn't going to accept that. If he goes somewhere else, well, we get that comp pick. And I think that's been the case for a few years. Where I mean, Chris Bryant's been in trade rumors since like the end of 2018. I feel like, and every time that it's like, well, is something going to get done? We've heard the same things from the national guys and like even some of the local guys. It's like that they're just not going to get the value for them. In terms of other guys, I still think that they can trade a couple of relievers, and if somebody's going to offer you a top 100 prospect for Craig Kimbrell, I think you kind of have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Those are the guys that are more inclined to be going.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Chafin. Love Andrew Chafin.
I said this. I think I was actually telling Alex Rude and some of those other Sox fan guys. If you're talking about trade rumors and you're reporting on the Cubs and you're not saying Andrew Chafin's name, you're missing out on something that's actually closer to happening than any of the other big three. Bullpen arms, shortened contracts. Those guys are money, and everybody's looking for arms. Yeah, and are willing to pay. And those arms shouldn't cost as much either. As much as I love him and I want to party and drink beer with him so bad, he's not going to cost you. He should cost you a mid-level prospect or two. That's a guy. It was kind of a rental for the Cubs in a weird way that's panning out. It's like the Pittsburgh Pirates' entire roster. Those are all guys that were signed just to be trade bait. And if one of them actually pans out, let's do it. So, if you're reading a Cubs trade reports and it doesn't have Chafin, and I think you're probably that person's not doing as much research as they should, because he should be probably number 2 on that list, to be honest.
Yeah, and then Tepera, I think he came back from the injured list right last weekend, and if you can get anything for him too, like it's those 3 guys. If you get something for Kimbrel, Chafin, Tepera, and even like I think we talked about Winkler. He's been struggling lately too, though. But I mean, if he gets it going these next 2 weeks, try to get something for him too. In terms of the other guys, though, like for Baez, like Alex, points out, yeah, he has to keep it going, or you can get what did Alex say here on Baez? You also need Javi to pick it up so he doesn't end up taking 1-year prove-it deal that doesn't net a draft pick. That's true. So like best case scenario right now is Javi Baez like goes on a tear. Either his trade value goes up, you get something done at the trade deadline, or he plays himself out of that, like him needing to accept the qualifying offer. For Rizzo's a tough case because we talked about guys declining numbers. His just like, I brought it up briefly last week, how his numbers right now, they're just kind of just average. Mm-hmm. And sadly, they're kind of, when you look at them, it's like, I mean, yeah, you can kind of just replace that. So that not a great sign. And also, again, bring it up again, aging guy with back problems. Not the greatest combo for Rizzo.
No, yeah, and that's his is, and you hate again. I think remember Brian Urlacher towards the end of his career, and the Bears let him walk.
Yeah, I remember his last. Yeah.
You don't pay for a guy for what he's done.
Yeah,
I mean, you do in a little bit when it comes to optics and public persona stuff. Sure, but you don't pay a guy for what he hasn't done yet. You're paying him for what? Are you paying him what he's going to do, not for what he's done? And as amazing things as Anthony Rizzo has, if there's a question mark of whether or not he's healthy enough to continue what he's been doing, which is a question mark. Is this the peak? Do you want to, is this a swan song kind of contract? Does he deserve a little bit more than what he should get? Yeah, I think so, because he took a pay cut for the Cubs through his last contract was way below market. Yeah. And he deserves, to have it made up. This is the thing. This is the stuff that really is frustrating with how the Ricketts run the Cubs in general. Whether it's, it's Rizzo taking a pay cut, hey, Bo, don't worry about it. We'll make it up to you on the last one. KB, don't worry about the service time, man. We'll make it up to you on your extension. And now we're here at those moments where these insinuations of being it made up to you are it's time to pay the, pardon my language, pay the fiddler. It's time to pay up. Nope. Not going to follow through with the what you have basically made these guys think at the time, so they kept them calm. And now it's the time to actually, put your money where your mouth is. And it doesn't look like they're going to do it. So that's why I think Rizzo could get more, and it's fine by getting more, a little bit more, not a lot more. Like, I'm not talking about, loading up for another 10 million for him, but he should have a little bit. He should get a little bit more than his value as a respect factor for what he did to save the Cubs money when they were hogtied to a terrible Jason Hayward
like,
contract.
What would that look like right now? Because in the offseason, the numbers were like they offered him 5 for $70, I think, was like their last one before he's like, well, I'm not going to negotiate anymore. think it was 5 for 70. Like, would you do 5? Would you offer 5 for 70 right now?
And that's 14 a year. I mean, I think that he probably would be kicking himself for not taking it then. And then he would play the rest of the season not worried about any of this bull crap.
And it is crazy because I was part of it too. I was like, pay this fucking guy, but man, the numbers. He's still hitting the ball hard, but like, the slugging's down. You talk about Baez and the low batting average.
Mm-hmm.
Rizzo's not that far behind.
No, and it's so painful to see because he is such a great dude. I mean, vaccines aside, he is such a great dude. Like what he does for the community and with children with cancer, and his story is great. And what he did for the teenagers at his high school down in Florida at Stoneman, right? Stoneman. He, especially after that tragedy and stuff, and that is not calculated. You can't calculate that in a dollar sign. And if you're doing it for optics and you're paying for PR points, it's worth a few bucks. PR points are worth bucks. You can't buy good publicity. Can't buy it at all. So he gives you that in that sense. But man, I just it's such a hard. I mean, I could sit here and say that you could throw KB at first base and be done with it and
right.
save yourself some money. But that would be me being very biased, of course. But I think that I think that that's a really tough. I mean, a first baseman. They don't all have to be Gold Gloves. We're spoiled with Gold Glove first baseman in Chicago with the Cubs, at least. And they don't have to be that. That's usually where you put your big galoot that just swings it in the National League. And plenty of big can handle.
Your first baseman has to be one of your main power sources. And since the start, and again, I'm not one of these guys who 2020, look at these numbers. This is the guy he is or wasn't. But now it's extended into 2021. And it's not just the numbers, obviously, it's the health. And it's like, ugh. And you brought up the Brian Urlacher comparison. I mean, Brian Urlacher, obviously, nobody wanted him at the end and get to retire. Rizzo's still going to be, I think he's going to be in his age 32 season when he signs, wherever he signs in the offseason. So, I mean, he'll still have a couple of years, hopefully for him. Maybe it's not going to be the 900 OPS guy. But he probably has maybe a little bit of a bounce back. But I think the more apt comparison that the Cubs did this year that's just fucking infuriating to Urlacher was bringing back Arrieta. It's hey, let's bring, because that guy is the guy who's just done.
There's your cautionary tale right there. Jake Arrieta is the Anthony Rizzo of today. Anthony Rizzo is the Jake Arrieta of Brian Urlacher's. It's the best way to put it. It's a warning sign.
Yeah, because that's
Arrieta's no Anthony Rizzo either, though.
Right. But
unless you're a fitness guru, then drink your.
What hurts more is just I'd be fine. Bring back Rizzo, but if he's not gonna be, what sucks in all these discussions that we had, and I was talking about what I was arguing with Lil Yumper last week about the whole Bryant Baez or Bryant Baez Rizzo and just. What are they going to do with these guys? It's so frustrating because you can't even get too deep into that whole discussion. Who are you going to bring back? Because what I brought up later in the back and forth was, well, what are they going to do with the rest of the roster? Or what is free agency going to look like?
Right.
Are they going to be aggressive? If you bring back Chris Bryant, love it. Great. I love it. But honestly, I don't want to only see Chris Bryant and then just, I love the young guys, but they're still a couple years away.
Well, and you know what it reminds me, and this is where you're so leery, and this is what sucks about the Ricketts.
Yeah.
It feels like every single season since before Bryce Harper's free agency, they've been kicking the can down the road.
That broke my spirit so much.
Don't be so excited, Cub fans. Don't be so upset. We'll have them. We're saving some money now because we're gonna make a run at these big free agents. They didn't put money out for a freaking bullpen.
Daniel Descalso, that's who they put up the money.
Every year, it's kick the can. So if they tell me that they're going to spend this offseason and it's a retool, not a rebuild, and everything that they do in their actions tells us that it's a rebuild, they're gaslighting the hell out of us is what they're doing. They're telling us what we want to hear, which is we want to hear that it's not a rebuild, but they're not doing it. I mean, if this is not a retool, I mean, I don't know. Again, we've talked about it enough where $1 billion team worth $3.6 billion should never have to sell a player.
You know what I read? And obviously there's going to be added money because of, guys in arbitration and guys on their minor league options. The Cubs only have money committed to 3 guys next year. It's like Jason Hayward, Kyle Hendricks, and David Bodie. That's it. Those are only three like guaranteed money and it's like $40 million.
Yeah.
Like there is no reason why Jed Hoyer can't go out there and be like, KB coming back. We're giving you like 5, 6, 7 years. Come back. There should be no reason to be like, all right, who are we picking at shortstop? Bam, 5-year deal. Figure like this is probably a fantasy. I mean, maybe not because he's having his career year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, it's annoying. Yeah, I do agree with you. It's annoying, like, the love that he gets because he's with a fucking division rival. Nicholas Castellanos could opt out.
Yep. Oh, that's another one where it's like
the DH is coming to the NL. Like, it's coming. I don't care if he's terrible in the offense. Just stick him at DH eventually.
Yep.
That could be a Fantasyland signing. There's no reason why these things can't happen. But again, will they? The fucking past 3 years, they haven't done anything. It's just so frustrating because it's like, yeah, I want Chris Bryant back, but at the same time, if Chris Bryant's back and that's it, like, and like also we have to look at the starting rotation.
Well, here's the big part. Think about this, and this is stuff that nobody's really talking about as at least as often. All these other people, Ryan Castellanos, any potential free agent, whether it's Corey Seager, whether it's Trevor Story, whether it's anybody that could be signed to a longer team, maybe a younger guy, especially that could be signed to a longer team, that might have another deal at the end of their deal, coming. They're watching how the Cubs treat Chris Bryant, their MVP, the guy that's been their best player for the last 6-7 years, in the final moment where it's finally their opportunity for them to take care of their own, who's not at the tail end of his career, but actually is in the peak of his career right now. Yeah. And they're watching how they're treated. Why would I want, if I'm Ryan Castellanos, why would I want to go to a place that's showing no loyalty to someone that's been a Cub for life, let alone someone that he's come from multiple organizations? I don't trust the Cubs. And I think that free agents can look at this and go, I don't know if I want to deal with an ownership group that has this reputation in the undercurrents of bullshitting you, which they've done time and time again, or that uses their media mouthpieces to tear down your value so that fans can accept if they were to trade you. And this has happened over and over again. Crane Kenny's obviously working in the shadows a lot. You could tell it's his fingerprints everywhere. And this is a hard part for like a Ryan. If I'm Ryan Castellanos, I'm like, I don't know about there, but hey, what about the Dodgers? They sure do take care of their own. What about the teams that take care of their own? And that's where this is a really tough situation. Is, again, look at the free agents. They're going to look at the Cubs too. It's not just they're not just selling money. I mean, obviously, money talks, right? In the end, it is money, but don't think that they're not going to raise the price. Going, well, I don't trust you bastards. So I was going to take this, but we'll call it a convenience fee. I don't trust. I keep Ryan's his brother. Sorry, Ryan Castellanos is a kid that played at Silverado. Sorry, my bad. Okay. Really good third baseman. Actually drafted. I'm not sure what team drafted him. He was actually an All-Stater in 2000, I think 2001. Anyway, I'm sorry. Okay. But Nick Castellanos, it's really funny that Nick's brother's name is Ryan too. But I actually follow his brother on Twitter, I think. But Nick, he's looking at this. These free agents are watching. It's not just it's a fee. It's a convenience fee. It's a I don't trust your owner's fee. It's going to be probably 5 to 10% higher than it normally would be because you might tell me, yeah, we'll make it up to you at the end, buddy. And then you know that it's bullshit because you didn't make it up to Rizzo. You didn't make it up to KB when your service timed him. You didn't make it up to Javi. You're not making it up to anybody. You're just paying Jason Hayward because you have no choice. Because that's locked, and that's that one right there is the killer. Is for the Cubs are not doing a great job of wooing other free agents to want to be a part of something. Whether it's the clubhouse, disharmony right now.
Oh, just
all that stuff. It's not a good look. It's bad for optics, but it's also bad for selling you as a destination. That's really making it difficult. Yeah. And a lot of these players, hey, look, what is the reputation of guys like Wilson Contreras outside of the Cubs clubhouse? What do other players think about those guys? And I think those are the things that are really telling when it comes to, do these guys want to join this clubhouse or that clubhouse? What do they think about these guys? Which guys in your clubhouse would sell your franchise to free agents best? And that has to be taken into consideration just as much as talent and just as much as all the other signability stuff. I think that's huge because who wants to play for a jackass? No one wants to play for a jerk. I'm not saying Willie is that, but I'm just saying, like, if one guy's got a reputation of being a terrible teammate, why would I want to go join that locker room when I can go to this place where I don't know, Justin Turner is considered to be like the coolest dude ever, and he was on Game of Thrones because it was basically killing the. But no, sorry, that was not. He wasn't on Game of Thrones, but he looks.
Kevin, speaking of Game of Thrones, and like, unless the Cubs go on like some incredible run here in July, doesn't this Cubs run just remind you exactly of Game of Thrones? Fucking great! Like first, 4 seasons. And then you get
the Red Wedding was just so good.
The Battle of the Bastards, and then you get Jon Snow. Spoiler alert: dies, comes back, and then after that, you're like, all right. You hope you still keep watching. You're like, still a fan of this. Some weird things start happening. It's like, wait, this isn't really that exciting anymore. The writing's weird. You keep watching though, because you're like, no, like this was good, so it has to be good again. Like it's going to get good again. And then we get to season 7, and then and then it's like, oh my god, this is fucking awful.
And the worst part is Cub fans are exactly like Game of Thrones fans.
Yeah.
You watch it because you have no damn choice.
Yeah.
And all you're going to do is just bitch and moan on social media about how it ended, but you're still watching it.
Yeah, but at the same time, right before, you're like, wait, no, it's the final episode. Like maybe something happens here. And then it comes here, and that's basically like
She
this
burned
season.
the whole kingdom? What the Tom got on the dragon? What are you doing, Tom? Get off the dragon.
God. And yes, another comment from Humberto Trujillo on Facebook. KB isn't going anywhere, and yeah, I mean,
I agree.
probably not.
100%.
And it's just like it goes back to the Valley thing, and again, this goes back to when KB's been trade rumors in the past year. It's like the Cubs know what they have. They're not showing it because they haven't extended him yet, but like they absolutely know that Kris Bryant is worth a set number of top tier, or maybe not top tier, but whatever it is that teams just aren't going to be willing anymore. Because like as much as we look around the league, like top prospects, like they're really not traded as much anymore. It's like it's not 2016 anymore. It's not 2017 anymore. We had that anniversary a few days ago. You don't really see those big blockbuster trades that involve top 3 prospects and guys on teams' organizations. By the way, as a teaser for the Sox stream that we're going to do in a little bit, Sox made a trade for a catcher with the Tampa Bay Rays. Got Mark Topkin, who covers the Rays down Tampa. Rays traded much-traveled catcher Devi Grullon. I'm not sure if that's Spanish, who was with their AAA team for cash considerations. So there you go. We'll have that with Zoe. I'm going to test Zoe with that name. Let's see if he gets that right.
No. Get the detail, man.
But any last thoughts here as we start the unofficial second half? Cubs are sellers, but latest word, maybe the big 3 don't go.
I think the biggest. I mean, I do want to address it just for a second. The Wilson Contreras stuff.
Actually, that's
Just we talk about professionalism. I mean, we've talked about it a million times with players. Obviously, everyone's got their own preferences. I prefer one type of player. You might prefer another type of player. You and I have had our disagreements on style since we've known each other, even back early on in the bat flip era. Like what is a bat flip? Is it okay? When is it okay? Like all the unwritten rules stuff. That's that. But everyone has their preference for a type of player. And I just think that for a clubhouse that's commiserate with success, and I think what Willie did, coming out and saying that everybody basically, nobody else is hustling except for him and Javi, is a great way to send a giant spike and drill right through the entire clubhouse, especially doing it publicly. Look, if you're in the clubhouse and you let things rip, it's a clubhouse for a reason. It's a club. It's a club, which means it's exclusive, which means everybody in that club is able to take it and they keep it in the club. Lose your shit all you want in the clubhouse. Go for it, man. Let her rip. Get in someone's face. Throw someone against the locker. I don't give a. Go for it, bro. But doing it to the media is the least productive because it doesn't fix anything in the clubhouse. Do you think a guy is going to be more inclined to change their game because you spoke to a bunch of reporters at in your private time with reporters? Is that really going to motivate? You're not the head coach. Okay, when a head coach does it, the head coaches, you're usually doing it as a constructed, pre-planned, motivational tool. Players doing it to the media is, as a media member, in the past, myself as well, those were awkward moments for everybody because you're like, and then when you go in the clubhouse, You just basically told the world that you two are the only ones in here busting your ass. And, you know, if a really good reporter was there, I would have loved for them to ask this question to Wilson. Hey, Wilson, so you're saying that you two are the hardest workers in this clubhouse. Who's the first person that arrives at the ballpark every day? Which player arrives first every day to get their work in? Which player arrives second? Now, can you tell me 1 and 2? Because if you can't tell me 1 and 2, it ain't you, and you're not the one showing up early getting the extra work in. Just because they're not running around the field showing their ass a little bit and playing, you're doing the other stuff. You know, some guys play wild and like, look at my body, look at me, everyone stare at me, and I'm waving my arms and throwing bats up and showing more body language. And some guys are poker. You know, there's all types of players. Poker player, you know, Daniel Negreanu is not the same as in Phil Ivey. Everyone has personality, and to think that one guy's not hustling because he's not dancing around and you know, flinging his, you know, doing whatever. It's a total meatball comparison, because the guys that are quiet are working just as hard, more than likely. It's the guys that aren't hustling. And I'm sorry, but Wilson, I don't know how many times I've gotten like messages like, really, Wilson, that's you got out of the box on a ground ball to second or a ground ball to short, not even, you know, taking 2 steps out and walking back. Look, oh, he's just, you know, he's a catcher. He's just resting his legs. Okay. But if that guy drops the ball, is he really still resting his legs? And so I've seen Wilson not hustle. And there's been obviously accusations in the past of him and Javi and some other guys, according to Javi, not showing up ready to work, not getting loose to the 4th inning, showing up late, not going to meetings. They've admitted this in the past. So now you're saying that you're the only 2 that hustle, but in the past, it's been admitted that you're the ones that aren't doing this. It really puts, I hate it. It puts Javi in a bad spot, to be honest. And as critical I've been as Javi didn't bring that upon himself. Wilson did. You know, Javi didn't say shit. Javi has never, ever said, I'm the only one, or me and Javi are the only. Javi said us. And I guess I can give Javi more credit. He said us, and it basically meant the whole clubhouse. Whereas when you actually name names, and so, you know, David Ross, I know David Ross got him I really would love to have known what happened in that clubhouse. I know there were dudes that were not happy, and there are a lot of dudes in that clubhouse that would, you know, handle it in the clubhouse, and we'll never know how it was handled in the clubhouse. But someone broke a monitor.
Yeah, I saw that the next day.
I'll get to that one. We'll figure out who that one is later. We'll do some fingerprinting.
You'll look at the swing path in that one. You know, the 2 things that when I saw it, because it was I mean, I'll admit I didn't watch the Saturday game, but apparently it was, they lost 6-0. It was a pretty lifeless effort from you know, the score coming after their win on Friday. 2 things that I was right there with you. I never like even sometimes with managers. I mean, you just said, you know, they can be a motivational tool. Like, yeah, it could, but like, you know, earlier in the season, like when I thought La Russa threw like Mercedes under the bus, you know, I didn't agree with that. Like, obviously, whatever, Mercedes had his own struggles, just you know, adjusting to the league. But I mean, I had the same feelings as you. Like, that was just like, what are you doing? Like, can't be doing this like right to the media. Bad look, and again, you know, coming from a guy who, like, in the past, I mean, like, yeah, like, I think it was in 2018, or following the 2018 season, like in 2019, he said, you know, in 2018, I wasn't like putting all the effort in. That being said, though, bad form, definitely with you, bad form. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's wrong. Oh, and him lumping in Baez with him, like Baez is probably like, dude, what the fuck? Like, or who knows? But like Baez is probably like, hey, like, don't lump me in with like you just calling out the entire clubhouse here, buddy. But like, just because he said that, and just because he was wrong, like saying it through the media, doesn't necessarily mean that he was wrong. I know Ian Happ, I forget it was on Thursday or Wednesday, he was on 690 The Score, and he said, you know, maybe some of the wording was lost through translation, like he didn't mean to say effort. Whatever the case was, you know, they've obviously talked about it in the clubhouse since then. Right now, it doesn't seem like, I don't know if you've heard anything, it doesn't seem like it. Maybe there is, maybe I don't think there's like a giant rift right now. But here's the thing: why is this happening? Because they're fucking losing. Not a lot of things are going to look great when you're losing.
And that's the one thing too is, look, and I'm gonna say this, I don't think KB, like the only person that I can probably speak, KB didn't, they were like, oops, that was probably a bad thing to say. Like that was like, oh, that's not good. Like, but I don't think he took it as personal. I feel like this is a weird thing too, because what's been happening, this is really, you know, we'll jump back to Rizzo in this sense. The one person that you haven't really heard from has been Anthony Rizzo. So now all of a sudden, when you see like again, every single player has
Because
their all fan base that
and that's
just
the thing.
comes in the door like unconditionally, and now Rizzo is becoming the evil bad guy that the clubhouse cancer. Like, wait, hold on a second. The captain is the problem here, and that because he's the one that hasn't spoken yet. Like, how is silence?
And like, and the thing with like that, and not even the thing with Rizzo, like not responder, like we haven't heard anything from him through the media since. But it was like the whole like Contreras, like, you know, like I do view myself as the captain now. Like that is a direct, like everyone thinks of this guy as the captain. No, I view myself as the captain too, or, you know, as well, or as the captain, whatever it is. But I mean, we got here the comment from Nathan from YouTube. Like Peter didn't seem Keuchel, because I thought about it too right after it happened.
Huh?
Dallas Keuchel last year, like 3 weeks into the season, was like, "Oh, these guys are just going through the motions." Like the Sox were playing in Detroit. I think it was like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks into the season, and obviously, like it was early enough in the year where like it didn't become a big thing. But like, why did that not become a big deal? They started to win. Like yeah, it didn't really matter
in the end. Like everyone's great when you're running hot. Actually, right. I think we've talked about this on the podcast. Is the Cubs struggle? Really pay attention to who starts acting like a baby as they struggle. And this was the first crack, I think, a little bit in this. And we've seen Wilson again struggle. When he's struggling, he's not the same Wilson as when he's running hot. And those are red flags when it comes to players being able to lose properly and struggle properly. Great players struggle well. Great players take that in stride and figure out solutions. And so I don't blame, you know, again, I think that it was just the heat of the moment. I think that it's rock bottom. He's having a terrible season up, you know, compared to his expectations. I mean, it's most of the guys are having not great seasons, but you're not seeing other guys say those things. And when you say that out in public, it creates more drama that you don't need in the clubhouse. It was unneeded at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he was trying to accomplish by it, but he also could have been caught at the wrong time with the wrong reporter, you know, and I, you know, he doesn't seem to be very apologetic about it because now he's like tweeting freaking.
I hate the whole,
his astrology signs and stuff.
Like he's not the only one who does it, because like, I mean, we saw like right after Adam Eaton was DFA'd, we saw like, I think it was Brian Goodwin and like tweeted out like, we're gonna party, and it's like, well, this was weird timing, but that could mean literally anything.
Right.
But it was like everyone made the connection, like, oh, it's just about Eaton leaving. Like and the one thing you have to say about like maybe Contreras had, again, I think it was bad form doing that in the media. Back in 2019, I think that was the same time when Baez was like, yeah, I don't always prepare well. I think Cole Hamels near the end of the year in September, he was also like, yeah, some of these guys just, you know, aren't really like, and he didn't call anybody out specifically. Like he did the whole, like, you know, I think he said he went with the general terms of like, you know, some of these guys are like I think he said like the team.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because
he didn't single out anybody. Like he just he kept it as like a unit.
And it was like, because I think that year, you know, Cubs had like a lot of errors, a lot of base running mistakes. But yeah, like, so like, it sucks that Wilson Contreras did that, but also at the same time, maybe for a couple of guys it was. And who knows, that doesn't mean like it's like your favorite player, that guy's favorite player.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows? There's a whole bunch of different guys in the clubhouse now that haven't been on like a winning team. So who knows?
And really too with this too, think about it this way. Like you have a guy like, you know, that says something like this. And again, you don't want to like throw a guy under the bus at the same time. What about like the Ian Happ? What about these, you know, people don't understand. And again, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, you know, Wilson apparently equates hustle to what you're doing on the field only during games. Now he did not criticize anybody's showing up on time, taking their extra batting practice, working with hitting instructors, going to the weight room, working on their bodies, eating healthy, you know, not partying the night before and showing up to a day game, things that have happened in the Cubs history. Ask Mark Grace and Rick Sutcliffe. You know, showing up hungover to a day game, not a rarity. And so being in your, you know, I think that we always equate just the on-field product with how hard someone's working. But someone that spends hours in the cage every day, hitting off you know, Tony Gwynn, you didn't see the work that Tony Gwynn put in because he was doing it after hours. And people don't see that. And so I hate that people equate hustle with only and hard work with, because they're not, you know, flipping their helmet off and diving into a bag and hugging it and spraying dirt everywhere. Like some guys slide on their butt perfectly and just get up and they hit a home run sometimes and they set the bat down and they run around the bases with their head down. It doesn't mean they're not hustling. It doesn't mean they don't care. It just means that there's their style. And so I think that that's such a we everyone equates and puts their style on everybody. So Chris Bryant's not Javi Baez. Javi Baez is a Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras is an Anthony Rizzo, et cetera, et cetera. And that's also a real. It's bad. It's bad for stigma too. I hope kids don't realize that running around and acting like your hair's on fire is the only way to show that you're hustling. It isn't.
Right.
The job, showing up to work every day on time, being prepared, that shows you're working. And that's something that we don't see as much because everyone looks at the top of the iceberg. They don't see how much of the iceberg is actually underwater. And it's a big part of it. So real quick, can I mention the Joe Buck thing and
go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I want to read something that I was told to read. So I'm reading this. I was on Waddle and Sylvie today, and I was more talking about Mike Bryant was criticized by the Waddle and Sylvie show for being, Evan Altman, who's been on our show, called him, asked him a question about what he thought about Joe Buck's comments. And Mike isn't going to shy away from commenting. He didn't call Evan Altman. Evan called him. Just like if I needed to talk to Mike about something, I'd call him. And if I'm telling him I'm going to quote you, I'm going to quote you. Can I quote you? Of course you can. Like he's an open book. He's one of the most forwardly honest and open person that I know. He gets excited. He does. He's pumped, man. You think I'm hyperactive. I mean, it was kind of funny when I was on Waddle and Sylvie, people were like, get the Adderall away from this guy. I'm like, you have no idea.
If you guys listening right now or in the chat, if you guys want to go back to the Twitch stream for Waddle and Sylvie, we got some good old zig. Kevin, you have to admit, they're pretty funny.
Oh yeah, it was great. He got misconstrued. I wasn't worried so much about the comments by Joe Buck. Joe Buck, I thought, could have asked a better question. He could have asked KB about a million things. And maybe I was a little bit too deep thinking that he could talk about the CBA, maybe too much out in left field. But how are you doing, Chris? What's the swing adjustments you've made this year that have, from last year? What is the difficulties of playing multiple positions? How do they asked him the question about, him being a trade bait, and which he's been asking and answering for 3.5 years constantly without rest. And even the morning, all the red carpet stuff. Hey, Chris, that's great. Oh, Kyler, he's little handsome man with his shoes are so cute. So we're getting traded like every time. And so Mike obviously gave his candid comment, and it was obviously he's like, I think Joe owes him an apology. Joe kind of blindsided him. Now we don't know what was told to KB, what he was supposed to expect. I don't even know this yet. I obviously should find out, and I'll find out what was he told before the interview. Like, because sometimes they're like, yeah, we're going to talk to you about like your swing, and then they go, why were you hanging out with Trevor Bauer? Like, it's like, what the hell? Huh? So that's a big thing. But the big conversation was about Mike. Basically, and I'll quote, Sylvie said, Mike needs to mind his own damn business. This is now someone that has had Mike on his show, wanting him to shut up and mind his own business. So that was where I took issue with it. That kind of, whatever. So I went on there and kind of talked about that. Sylvie kind of like took it over to the Joe Buck comment, but the loaded question was how do you feel about what he asked Chris? And Mike gave his candid response. That's the loaded question. And so Mike's frustrated. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. And I apologize for the language, Dad, Mom, sister, everyone else is listening. But Mike says 2 words to all the people who call me a helicopter dad. Shut the fuck up. I spend hours upon hours in the off season every effing day helping my kid prepare for the season. I spend hours on the phone and texting him swing thoughts and analysis through video and supporting him 100% through the season. I don't just watch him play. I live and breathe every moment, every pitch, every inning right alongside him, the good and the bad. I paid the effing freight to get where he is today. I earn the right to call out asshole clowns questions when I see one. So suck it. You can print that if you have the balls to. And that's Mike, and that's Mike in a nutshell. And he's not like, again, you take the language out of it. It's right, man. People don't understand. There are dads that are non-athletic that were so glad that their kid somehow sprouted into being a great ball player. There are also guys like Ron Harper, like a Tony Gallo, like a Rick Giolito. These are guys that know the game and are deeper in the game than just casual dads. Mike played professional baseball with he played with the Boston Red Sox organization. He learned from Ted Williams. And these are, it's not just, to mind his business. Chris is his business. Chris, in the offseason, Mike's job is to train Chris. So would you say that a trainer has no business talking about Chris's health? If someone asks him about Chris's health, the guy that he works out with in the offseason, that is his job. So he should be able to respond. I'm a stupid, boneheaded meatball high school coach, man. Am I allowed to talk about Chris? I'm biased. Hell yeah, I am. And am I allowed to do it? Should I shut up? Or am I allowed to have an opinion because I'm not a member of the Chicago corporate media? That's where so that was, Mike's upset, and I take everything that he says with a grain of salt, obviously, in that sense, when it comes, because he's very passionate. He is extremely passionate. He's the guy that would probably get kicked out of like a charity game because he's because he's just in it, man. And he's a ball.
Are you saying Mike's a little lucky there weren't a lot of camera phones back in KB's T-ball games?
I would say probably, especially the club ball stuff. There's some stories, and it's never from a bad place though. And that's the thing is the hate that he gets. It's the stuff that people said. I mean, I saw on the God dang, I feel cyberbullied, man.
I was gonna say
I was on the show, man. Someone's like, "Stay off the Adderall." Is this like Kevin Hitler? Is his name? Is it Kevin Hitler? I mean, my God, get this guy off. This guy likes to hear himself talk. Well, yeah, that's probably true. I wouldn't be on a podcast if I hated my voice. So, I mean, I'm okay. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, I think this is another case where I don't – like, if Mike Bryant wants to say – if he can say, like, whatever he wants. I don't think he has there's anything wrong with that. I think it's, like, two different things. Like, what Mike said, it's like, obviously, it's his son. Like, he's going to stick for him, like, no matter what. Obviously, he's going to be – and he's been – I'm pretty sure the family and, like, anyone that has personal relationships, they're probably tired of all the trade talk. Like it would be frustrating as hell.
You see me on here every time. I'm like, shit.
At the same time, though, it's like it's the big story right now. Like with Joe Buck, asking it, I didn't really have that big of a problem with it. And like honestly, like we said at the beginning of the show, Chris Bryant came out looking like that, fucking even better.
Yeah, he did.
So that was just more good PR for Chris Bryant. In case, we know the way that like Chris Bryant has responded to these questions because like he's asked about them like constantly, like the Chicago media,
right? Like
maybe like not like every baseball fan's like is like up to date on what Chris Bryant's saying. Like how even some like Cubs fans are ignorant of like what Chris Bryant's been saying willfully sometimes. But like I really have that big of an issue of like Joe Buck asking him like, hey, I mean it's the big story with Chris Bryant right now and like a lot of the Cubs. But at the same time, if Mike Bryant's like, hey, there's a bullshit question, like, yeah, it's his son. He's gonna be defending his kid.
And he was asked the question, so he answered it. And that's the big part is you ask him the question, you get the response. What the hell else was he gonna say? No? Like, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. And that's in the end, that's where I was probably, that's and again. I don't take issue with. I would have preferred a different question from Joe. But I hate to think that when Chris isn't traded, and he goes into this offseason, that his all-star interview, his moment to get to know the national fans, was him talking about something that never happened. Like you could have talked about something that's real and substance-based, and maybe take time to learn the game and show the audience what is a baseball swing. What did Chris do? Explain launch angle to me, Chris. Oh my God, we're teaching the game of baseball now. Jesus, we're at a crisis of people not knowing the game so frequently with a low baseball IQ. What a great opportunity on a national stage to teach. Instead, we're talking about entertainment drama as opposed to the game.
Uh-oh.
And that's where I guess I would have preferred a question. But you know what? I don't ever take, Mike is a good dude. He's a stand-up dude. And I'll tell you this, KB is not embarrassed of his father. They like to, if people insinuate that KB's embarrassed of his father, no. Mike says everything that KB will never say because KB is, and that's what our job is to do, right? His job is to go out there, play ball, be the class act. We're allowed to grumble as the people that care about him. Every time someone that treats him like shit or acts like a dick and says bad things, we're allowed to come at you because guess what? He's family. And yeah, maybe we could probably taper it off sometimes, but you know what? Nah.
Right before
F with all of us.
The last point I'm going to make on this, and right before we bring in Zoe for some Sox talk, what was I going to say? I think you brought up, Giolito's dad. He's active on social media, talking with Sox fans, just talking about Sox and Giolito. But I think maybe some fans get taken aback because, like, I think Mike and Rick, they're kind of an outlier. Like, you don't really see a lot of parents like sharing stuff in the media. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just like. So you do get that, that vitriol from fans like, oh, why is he butting in? Like, and again, like you said, it's not like he's coming from a bad place. Like it's his son. He's been obviously professional baseball player, has been training his kid ever since like he could probably walk. Probably even before that, he was crawling. Like, yeah, this is his life. Of course, he's going to be super involved.
Yep. And what dad does, again, It's just a different types of parents, man. The idea we can have a conversation as me as a coach, me having, as Alex would say, as a girls golf coach. Alex, you're a dick. But as we deal with helicopter parents, man. And I'll use a girls golf, example. Then I had a girls golfer that was a regional qualifier as a freshman, and the way she played when her dad was there compared to the way that she played when her dad wasn't there was night and day. And I think it's the opposite for KB. Mike, having dealt with Mike for 17 years, was never a problem. He was never that kind of hell. He was mad at me when I benched Chris, but we hammered it out. I was like, well, here's why. Oh, okay. Fine. We never had, there was never, I think I actually had more, I got into more of it, not even got into it. I guess is a strong word. Shreve's dad. I think I made the guys run because one of the kids got in trouble because he was at a game and he used really foul language in front of people that got back to me. And I made the guys run after a game. And his dad was upset because he's like, we were at the lake all day, coach. You're exhausting. I'm like, did you just tell me that you guys were at the lake before a game? Okay, 2 more laps. I joke about it all the time. Jason's dad, but Mike was never like that. Not a problem. So, again, that helicopter parents is that is tossed around too flippantly. A helicopter parents makes their kid worse, and you haven't seen that. Chris doesn't clam up when his dad's there. Chris plays better when Mike's there. So, helicopter parents are a negative connotation. My dad being in the bleachers every day, he wasn't a baseball stud, but I could hear my dad's voice in the bleachers, and I played better when my dad was there. Most guys do. Most players do. Most athletes do. But when they're negative parents and you see their play fall off, that's a helicopter parent. That's trouble.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, without any further ado, as Zoe so rudely pointed out on Twitter, I guess we can talk about the good team in town.
Should we let him in?
White Sox. So here's Zoe. Go, Zoe. Talk for 50 minutes. Go.
No problem.
Timer's up. Go.
One, I don't think I have no problem with Joe Buck asking that question. That's his job. 2, I have no problem with Chris Bryant's dad defending his son. Both can be okay. Both are okay, in my opinion.
Stop stealing my points. All right.
I'm not gonna lie. Just coming in late here. Coming in late to the party.
No, you're good. You're good, Zoe.
And it's not like he only singled out Bryant. If you watch the whole broadcast, dude, he was asking those type of questions to a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. And if anything, I think by Buck asking that question, it made Chris look better. He gave the best fucking answer possible.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm not a Cubs fan, and I was like, after he said it, I was like, rep that C, bro. Like, I was like pumped for him. But I think Chris came out smelling like roses. But I also get why why you went on ESPN and started defending him. I have no idea. But
I was scared. I had enough people go, do it.
He messaged me. I was like, he's not going to go on. And then Yumper DMs me. He's like, bro, Fitz is on ESPN, and he's kind of losing his shit. I was like,
I was eating Nashville hot Reaper chicken again, and I had just gotten back from the gym. It was 1 o'clock. I haven't eaten lunch yet, too. So I have all these guys, and I'm going to say this right now, that Alex and those guys in the DM especially, and then Yumper and Aloha Mr. Hand, they're like, do it. I'm like, and I had it up, and I was on hold for 10 minutes, and I hung up the first time. And then I went back.
You waited 10 minutes to do that?
Yeah. Oh, no, actually 20 minutes technically, because the first 10 minutes or whatever it was.
Jesus Christ.
And then he tweeted, call me back right now. Because he tweeted at me to call. Like Sylvie said, call me now. And then he did like a call, period, me, period, now, tweet or whatever. I was actually more into the conversation they were having about finding a snake in your toilet biting you in the ass, or would you rather have a snake under your bed? And I was like, I don't want to.
Holy shit, man. You're a fucking trip, dude.
I wanted to use the
entertainment as much as it was to defend Mike. So
holy fuck, man. And I appreciate that you're Fids, people can say a lot of things about you. They can never not call you loyal as a motherfucker. You're a great friend. You look out for your people, and I respect and admire that. But why? Don't do that shit. Don't give them content. That's all you. That's all you did. Was you gave?
Well, no. The biggest strike against Kevin, and he called himself out. You got to plug the podcast. The podcast.
Oh, you didn't even plug the show.
I was busy getting called Kevin Diddler. So
I saw Kevin Hitler. That was fucking relax, people. It's not that serious. Hitler is not something you just roll off the tongue. Oh, this guy's talking about Chris Bryant's dad defending him? Hitler.
There were some guys drafted in this draft named Owen Sharts, another guy by the name of Smelly.
Yeah, I saw that. If he makes it to the show, I will call him Smelly Cat forever. So the draft was cool.
Yeah, so where do you want to start? Liam Hendricks taking
Yeah,
Fox
let's
taking
start
our
with the-
idea.
I want to talk about the All-Star game because you know what? I fucking enjoyed myself. I thought it was great. I haven't sat down and watched the entire All-Star weekend from home run derby to the end of the game in fucking years, man.
I think
Years.
I was the complete opposite, and I think I know why. Your team is good, my team is.
That's probably it. And I
didn't
didn't
watch
even
a
get to see
single-
TA play.
Right, I didn't watch
But-
a single pitch of the. No,
The-
I lied. I watched 2 pitches of the All-Star game.
The home run derby was electric.
That was great.
Absolutely electric. Pete Alonso is a fucking demigod, dude.
Oh.
He's sitting there bopping between songs. All these other guys look like they're gassed, like they're about to pass out.
That
He's
looked
dancing
like,
and shit.
That looked like when you're playing like your older brother, like in Madden. And
Yes.
like you're thinking you're doing good, and then he just comes down like scores like on 2 plays or
Oh,
something.
and I mean, like Juan Soto and like Otani and Vlad Jr. and all these guys. Vlad Jr. wasn't in it, but like all these other guys are like very much in shape, and they looked very tired.
Joey
Pete-
Gallo was gassed midway through his
Pete
run.
Alonso walks up there and he looks like he's just doing BP, like this shit's fun. And he said after, he's like, I am the best power hitter in baseball. You are the best power hitter in baseball when an 80-year-old dude throws 60 miles an hour in the same spot repeatedly. Yes, 100% yes, Pete.
Yeah,
And
if
good for him
anything,
for getting that money. Good
by
for
the way,
Pete.
he needs to give that guy
Cy
like a
Young.
huge chunk.
He needs a home run derby Cy Young. They need to give that guy a home run derby Cy Young. And good for Pete for getting paid. We've all seen there's been 1 million points made about it. He made $2 million in the home run derby. And he's only made like 1.47 in his career,
Yeah.
whatever. And you know what's cool though? You know what's really cool, Aldo? He gave money to the 9/11 First Responders Fund, and he gave money to some other cause.
Nice.
And I mean, I'm not crying over Pete Alonso. I mean, he's made $1.4 million in his baseball career. I won't make $1.4 million, and it takes me a long time. Let's put it that way. And so, I mean, but it's still cool. I think it's cool that he gives back, but it was fun, man. I mean, that showdown between Otani and Soto,
Oh yeah, that was
like you said, should have been the final. but-
they should have separated them. Yeah,
Wow, was that fun.
that
That
fun.
was just, I mean, I was watching it and my son was going in and out of sleeping on my lap, but like, I wanted to, like, I was getting into it, dude. I was dead sober too. And I was like getting into it. And the whole aspect that you can gamble now, like legally, like you could do prop bets and all that
Wow.
shit on it. That makes it a lot more fun too. Let's call it what it is. That makes it a
that
lot
made
more
it-
fun.
That made it fun, but also
Stressful.
if not stressful, but also because you're betting on something that you thought was going to have a set rules, and then things happen,
Oh, it was all
and they
over.
were like, "Wait, they're just breaking the rules."
If I had who got jobbed?
It was Joe Gale.
Joe, if I had Joey Gallo, which I think I did, I put a little money on everyone, but I put more money on certain guys. But
Mhm.
if I had Joey Gallo, like the Barstool crew did, like they all put like,
Yeah,
I would be furious, and they had every right to be furious.
I
But-
saw a thing that was like because like when they did the timeout and that like the timer on the screen may have not been synced with like the timer at the stadium, and like
Yeah.
that's why it maybe looked off.
Mhm.
But like, I mean, then ESPN, like, what the hell? Like, get your fucking graphics. The entire ESPN
Yeah,
presentation was terrible.
the thing that sucked too is I watched it on ESPN too because our guy
The
Jason,
Snapcast,
yeah, because Jason was on there, and I love his.
I heard that
calls.
was bad. Like the
Bro,
graphic stuff.
do you remember the show or what was it? Idiocracy or whatever, when they do the
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
broadcast and there's literally ads everywhere, and they're like, we could put one more ad here. That's what it felt like. Like it was a little ridiculous, but it was just nice to hear Jason. But
Mhm.
like so many people said, I want to watch the ball fly. That's part of the fun of home run derby. Like I don't want to just see the guy hit it. I want to watch that fucker fly.
Yeah,
I
it
want
was-
to see
it
it
was
go like, and yeah, and
On the ESPN broadcast, they didn't have the distance tracker.
no, and they were doing it for some of them. Like they would show like the
The side angle.
the exit velo,
Oh,
and then like I'm like I mean that's cool. Like you could tell me after the fact, but let me just watch these guys hit fucking bombs. That's all I
Yeah.
want to see. That's the point of a home run derby.
I think we've gone to the like over like satirization of or what's the word? Whatever the word is.
yeah,
of
I know what you're talking
Too
about.
much, like too much on the screen.
Right.
Just give me the distance. Let me see where these balls are landing.
But the big bets that hit for me easily were farthest home run over 518 and a half. Shout out Juan Soto for going
Juan
520.
Soto.
DraftKings had a boost. Otani and who won it again? I can't think of his name. Pete Alonso. Otani and Alonso combined for over 70 homers. That was a joke. That was the easiest money I think
Pete
I've ever.
Alonso by himself.
Yeah, I feel like that was and then like the total over of home runs was at like 239. I think they got over 300.
Yeah,
like those were it was such easy money, dude.
It was like I just still cannot comprehend how easy Pete Alonso made it look.
It was
like guys were hitting like 20, like 22, 20, like the median number was like around like Salvador Perez, who like all Sox fans were shitting on him, like rightfully so. Like
he got dirty. He hit like
the second most in the first. And
you know what? This was my face the whole time because I knew it was gonna happen. And the more he hit, I'm like, he's not catching Pete, but keep swinging yourself, dude. Maybe you'll catch a cold. Keep going, bro.
He hit like 27 or 28.
Yeah, and you know what? For a catcher, especially a catcher of his age, that was impressive, bro.
That was impressive.
Like, I'll give him props when he does, but you know what? At the end of the day, he's on the Royals, so fuck him. And then, so the home run derby was fucking amazing. If you stayed up and watched the celebrity softball game, God bless you. There's zero chance I was doing that. But the All-Star game, maybe you're right, although I didn't even think of it from that angle. Maybe it's because the Sox had 4 All-Stars. I mean, Lance Lynn looked hilarious in that uniform. The all blue. Like, remember in Willy Wonka when the violet girl eats the blueberry and she blows up? Violet, you're turning violet. That's what he looked like. And, I mean, that was funny. And so what? Fids leaves and no one jumps in the comments anymore?
All right.
I see how it is.
Well, I mean, I think Josh, I think he started to stream.
Yeah, he did, which is fine.
It's fine.
What's up, Alex? You're loyal.
What's up?
No, I'm just
Alex was here for all the hour and 10 minutes of Cubs talk.
Take a minute here. Well, he just likes to rip on Fids. Take a minute here to give a very big special shout out to our guys at the 108. Happy 100th show, fellas. People apparently think I was joking, but that's impressive. This shit is hard. You don't just sit down and start talking. Like, there's things that go into this. It's hard to have staying power. It's hard to keep people coming back. It's fucking hard. And for them to have 100 shows, and they do a 3-hour show every week, plus the Sunday soaks, plus all this other stuff. So mad props to them. We love them. They're our good friends. So very happy for them. Congratulations, fellas. I think they're on the Sons of Anarchy show right now, which is there's so many good Sox podcasts, dude. There's so many good ones.
Great to see. See.
And the cool thing is watching people meet up with each other and like there's no like rivalries or anything. Like I know there's some little subtle beefs, but it's not like a big deal. Like it's all love and it's cool. But anyways, shout out to them. Beeflo just popped up on my Twitter feed, so that reminded me. So, but yeah, the All-Star game was cool. I have no problem with Rodon not pitching. I mean, I get it sucks. You know, you want his first time there, you want to see him do it, but we got bigger fish to fry. Ooh, look at you, fancy pants. You about to do a live feed on ESPN?
No offensive event. Try to like split the time optimizing. That's what happens when I take my clothes off.
Well, okay. Before Kevin leaves, we have to get the breakdown on the Vegas kid for the Sox.
Oh yeah, do that real quick because go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, White Sox fans, if you've been annoyed with how much I talk about Chris Bryant, welcome to the Tanner McDougal fan club.
Oh yeah, we got another one, folks.
Yep. we got a live one here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Tanner is a great kid. Actually, he's a long time. I've known his family for 20 years. They have been a part of the Silverado Brian Whitaker family that I've been coaching with and mentored with. And so Tanner himself, great kid, 6'6", maybe 5. I'd say 5'5.5", really. Those, low 90s, like 92, 93 for now. His dad pitched for the White Sox or for the Cardinals organization. Not the same Mike McDougal that White Sox fans keep bringing up.
Thank God.
Not the same guy. This is a guy that his dad was a local legend. His dad here was a 6'4" galoot who pitched for the Cardinals organization and was such a freak that he also was their first baseman for 152 minor league games. So he's one of those dudes that were just like a freak. And so Tanner, he's got really solid velocity, but his spin rate, his stock really rose at the camps, the showcase, the big one, out of the top 150 prospects, and his spin rate was the highest graded spin rate of any pitcher at the combine.
So real quick, what's his arsenal? What kind of stuff do you have?
So he's got a fastball. Obviously, he's got a changeup. He's learned the traditional circle changeup.
What's his fastball touching?
I'd say he hits 92 to 94 for now, but he's
For a high school kid?
for a high school kid who's going to fill. Again, when I say this, his dad wears a 4X. Okay, so this is no. Well, actually,
So, what are you drinking before you got in here?
If McDougal family's watching right now,
Sorry.
we'll go ahead and refer to Tanner as the tripod. But yeah, no, but his dad he wears a an extra a quad large. So his dad's a huge guy, and Tanner is a tall guy that's going to fill out in the same vein. So he's going to add more velocity. So I'm not going to be shocked if Tanner's hitting 96, maybe even 97. Maybe perhaps more, but I think that he's going to probably top at 96. Off-speed stuff's great. The thing about him, too, is he was raised in a very similar program as what Chris and Shreve were brought up in with KB and Shreve.
Give me a ceiling.
Ceiling, I think he could be like a number 3 or number 4 starter for the White Sox rotation.
Let's do Kevin's favorite game. Give us a comp. I'm just kidding.
Babe Ruth.
Paul Bunyan and his
He's the next Randy Johnson. Dude, that was ridiculous during the draft. They would draft this kid out of high school and they're doing split screens between the kid and like Ichiro and shit. I'm like, why are you doing this to this kid? Why do you stop doing this to kids? No. Stop it. Because there's meatball fans that will use that for the rest of the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you never panned out. You never actually chopped trees down like Paul Bunyan. You suck. Trade him.
They put the one kid next to Mark Pryor and it looked identical. But like, it's just like, what are you doing? Stop doing this to kids.
Sox fans can really take real good piece in this. Like sometimes you get a ball player, a pitcher especially, that at the lower levels got overused. Think Kerry Wood in high school throwing killer curveballs, 50 of them a game when he was like 15.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like Tanner's going to come in with no residual overworking ever. Tanner played for his high school program, didn't go to showcases. He is a walking example of the kind of thing that we like about ball players. When you tell people that they'll find you, he didn't overwork himself. Some of these kids have been on the showcase circuit every weekend for like 5 years, and they're burning their arms out, and they have a low shelf life because they can't keep healthy. Tanner's the opposite. Tanner played a 10-game season this year in Vegas. That's all we got. So he pitched like 3 times. His last game, our last game before.
Sorry, keep going. I'm gonna blow this up though. We're gonna talk about this right now because you're gonna like this. This just happened. Hold on, let me share my screen. Sorry for those that are listening to the podcast.
So I'm gonna try and figure out the tech here, but
no, I got it.
You got it. There you go.
So here's Yankees prospect god with Jason Dominguez. Is that his name? Now here he is tonight in Double-A. I believe he's in Double-A now, hitting a triple. Stay for the triple.
Oh no!
Watch the slide.
Oh no!
Okay, big boy, nice crack right in the right center gap. Look at how fast he is. This kid can fly. He's flying around second, heading into third, and now here comes his slide.
Oh god! Sniper! That's a Nick Magical slide. There's a sniper up there. You see him right there. It says right by the R in George Steinbrenner Field. There's a sniper up there. It's not the kid's.
No, go right before he starts.
Oh my god! And look at the background. Look at the background. It has a jackpot on the screen. The minute he gets sniped, look at the what's on the scoreboard. The minute he lands from getting sniped. Ready and snipe. There. Ready and wait till he lands. Like binkety bink, and then jackpot.
I just noticed that. That's hilarious. Sorry, guys. I had to butt in with that because that was just. I just saw that and I was like, "Oh my god!"
And for you podcast listeners, this is why you have to tune in to the stream every Thursday night.
The visual references are.
Do they not teach sliding in the Dominican Republic anymore?
Bro.
Because Luis Robert can't slide, Eloy can't slide. I mean, shit.
Oh my god! I'm laughing at Alex's comment talking about Tanner.
Oh, that is pretty funny.
Oh no, that's Alex like every time.
Alex says, so you're saying it wouldn't be too hard to correct the issues caused by a terrible high school coaching.
Says the accountant played high school ball. Okay, so No, yeah. So this is actually Alex's smart ass comment can lead to this. I'm telling you right now, he's worked with the best pitching coach in the state of Nevada as a high schooler and as a young guy coming up. Jose Loza, our pitching coach, is incredible. But Tanner had a low workload, man. He's got a lot more bullets in the weapon in the gun than a lot of pitchers that come up like him. Guys like him usually play a million club ball games, play with a million different teams. Tanner played for his high school team. Tanner went to the showcases he was invited to, like the combine. He didn't go to these things. He wasn't overly exposed. And so his health is going to be very, very strong. And I think his delivery, if you look at his delivery, and again, that's something we'll talk about. We could talk about one day. We'll break it down.
Yeah, we'll break it. We'll do that next week.
It's a very effortless delivery. So there's a low stress, not a lot of strain. He's not doing anything unhealthy. Everything that he's been taught has been taught with everything in moderation. So he's been given that mentality. And so he's going to be a good one for the White Sox, I think.
Why don't we do this next week, Fids? Find us some tape, and we'll break down what he looks like. Because if you really think he could be a 3-4 starter for this Sox rotation in the future, I'd like to break his shit down. Because I think that's a great thing that this show brings that other shows don't, is we have a coach breaking down shit, which I think is great. So,
and he's heading to Birmingham. He's heading to Birmingham, I believe is what they said. He's going to Birmingham. And
that's good. Well,
he'll end up in the offseason, I guess he's going to be in Arizona. I want to say it's Birmingham and then Arizona is what they said is next. Because he's not even going to commit. He's never going to Chicago. I don't know if he's signing in at home and then he's heading out. I know Shreve signed at home. So some of these guys don't do like signing things at the ballpark. They sign at home. They bring the national, their cross checker there, and that scout comes in and they sign the contract or whatever. But he's headed to Birmingham.
I mean, if I was a pitcher, I'd want to be thrown in Birmingham. That park is tough to hit in. So, but speaking of minor leagues, I do want to bring up that the White Sox acquired minor league catcher Devi Grulon.
We were waiting for it, Aldo.
Yeah,
that wasn't bad.
Mentioned it earlier.
That wasn't bad. How off was I?
I have no clue. I probably butchered it worse than you did.
We were just hoping that you would have it right.
Devi Grulon.
No, apparently
he's French. No.
Apparently the funny part is Alex mentioned in the chat this trade happened a few days ago. They just barely announced it today.
Right. Well, it really doesn't have that much significance. The reason why it does have some kind of
does this mean it's over for Yermin?
Is because Yermin is a horrible catcher.
Yeah.
Like he's horrible. He's horrible. He has what was the stat? Like 9 pass balls already?
Like 7 in 6 games?
Yeah, it's brutal. So yeah.
Oh, wait, before Kevin leaves, I did want to before he leaves for his Baseball Tonight spot. I want to ask you.
I'm going to Area 15, and if anybody knows what that is in Vegas, you'll know that I'm going to a really weird place right now.
I want to ask Kevin. We briefly brought him up during the Cubs draft talk, but Colson Montgomery, why did you absolutely want him for the Cubs? He goes to the Sox. Like, what's like the quick
payback for Ed Howard?
Quick background on him.
The kid's a freak. He's a freak. He's a big left-handed bat that picks it. He is the guy that I'm, and I get a lot of people made a big deal about it, but you're talking about like 5 years down the line. Obviously, he's an 18-year-old kid, but he is someone that, as Tim Anderson gets towards the latter portions of his career, should be moving. I mean, he could move faster, and he's probably versatile enough, but it's a big bat. The kid, if you look at some of his swings, I'm going to see if I can pull up a video real quick. I know I got it on my right here, but if you pull up some of his swings, the dude just, ugh. I mean, he's turning 19. He's 19 now, but he's 6'4". He moves well. And he's going to probably be a little too big to be a shortstop. So you're thinking maybe even third base if he's not going to pan into a shortstop, or you can shift him. But he's one of those guys that I like. He's a 6'4", 190 guy. He's going to fill out and be a big bopper, and his bat is big. And again, you love. We said it earlier when Aldo were talking. I love guys that are right-handed throwers that hit left-handed. Those guys are just. I mean, you prefer a switchy, but I love the dudes that hit from the left side that throw from the right side. I feel like they're more cross-eyed dominant, which means they see the ball better. They've got a stronger eye up front, and they're able to see better depth perception. And so, I think that he was my second favorite pick for where the Cubs are at. Obviously, Sweeney was my number one, and one of the same reasons why I like Sweeney. A lot of the same reasons that I like Montgomery, except I think Montgomery is going to be a pure power guy. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to hit for average, but I think he's going to hit for power. And I think the White Sox are going to get.
Where does he play in the field?
I think eventually, if he's 6'4", you got to assume he's probably going to switch to a corner. or
Yeah.
not many 6'4" shorts. The A-Rod days where it was supposed to be the wave of the future. Not happening anymore.
So I just saw your tweet anyway.
Oh, what?
Eloy struck out on 6 pitches, and I said send him back to low A. And literally after we said that about Yerman, he just doubled into the corner for a 2 RBI double. I mean,
Yeah.
Yerman has now told the world,
What?
I am a bat.
Yeah.
If your team needs a DH, a straight bat, I'm your guy. It might go on a 2 month slump, but
Every team just needs him for like the first month of the year when they're like, "Whoa, where did this guy come from?" And then,
Every 30 days, he gets traded to a team, and then the next team 30 days. No. So look at Montgomery to be a good kid. I actually like the Calf kid, the West Calf kid, another big, again, left-handed hitter, right-handed thrower, 6'3", 200 pounds. Again, the White Sox drafted big framed high school kids with their first 2 picks,
and then they went pitching, which I really like.
Mhm.
I mean, not
Pitching.
the Angel strategy.
yeah, did you see the Angels?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds in a row they went pitching and then catcher.
Yeah.
They got this Cody. Oh, and Cody Smelly is a White Sox catcher. So the Smelly kid, you guys got the Smelly kid.
Yeah, I just wanted to. That'd be fun, smelly cat. But
And most catchers are smelly, so let's be honest.
yeah, all that gear, you get hot.
Smell like Axe body spray mixed with body odor and
Alex says that here that Eloy has been looking over match in AAA. He needs to get more time to get his timing down. He's got time, dude. He's not coming back to the end of the month. Like, he's got another week or so. He's fine. He'll get his
Keep
at
him out
bats.
until like September.
He'll get his at bats. He'll be fine. I saw his interview today where he's like, I feel 200%. I feel great. Whatever. He's a freak. Kid's a freak. So I know you guys talked about Cubs trade rumors. You talk about any of the White Sox stuff?
No, we did all Cubs. So this is all you, baby. This is all you.
And with that, guys, thanks for having me on tonight again. And
Yes.
I'm gonna dip out of here. I'm gonna go do the
Yep. Tell Tim Kirkshaw I said hi.
sweet. Yeah, I'm really gonna.
I had a Jeff Passan first.
Yeah.
Me and Alex Rodriguez are gonna have a heart to heart about baseball. And never mind.
Yeah.
All right.
Tell
Anyway,
Chris Berman I said suck it.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right, later,
Very
buddy.
good.
See you later.
Yeah.
So yes, trade
So-
Sox. What should they do?
Well, now Aaron Judge and those guys all fucked up everything because here we are 2 weeks away from the trade deadline and all the Yankees got COVID. And so they canceled the Red Sox Yankees Sunday or Thursday night baseball
Oh,
game.
geez, are they going to be super spreaders every single loss?
And so the All-Star break is now looking like a super spreader event.
Could you imagine if
My-
the White Sox had a trade like in the works?
And they couldn't do it because Trevor Story had COVID.
Yeah.
So let's live in a fantasy world that none of that's happening.
All right.
So the ESPN Grim Reaper, known as Jeff Passan, which shout out for just destroying Stephen A. Smith, came out and they were all doing like their list, like maybe traded, probably 50-50 shot, definitely going to be traded. And the definitely going to be traded was like Trevor Story,
Okay,
Joey
okay.
Gallo.
Yeah.
Chris Bryant, I think he had as like 50-50, whatever. But like, as a White Sox fan, to see those names is like definitely going to be traded, your ears perk up like a dog that hears the streets rattling. Like you're
wow,
like,
what a perfect match.
yeah. And right now we are all in this like, it's a weird feeling for White Sox fans because the White Sox have an 8-game lead in the Central. The rest of the Central looks like straight fucking dog water, and they should run away with it. But they also have, in theory, the prospects to go out and get one of these high-level rentals.
Mhm.
And that's what they are. They're rentals. I saw so many stupid tweets. Why can't they just sign Bryant or trade for Bryant and then just expand? Dude, Bryant's getting paid $200 million next year. He's getting a $200 million contract. The White Sox aren't doing that. And yes, as Alex brings up in the chat, which you all should be watching us live on Thursday nights, there's little to no competition for some of these rentals.
Yeah.
Which is the beauty of this deadline. There's the teams that are at the top, and then there's like this huge fall off of teams that are just going to stay neutral and keep the prospects, or there's teams that are straight sellers. You know what I mean? And the other thing that people need to stop tweeting at me or just tweeting in general, you're doing great, sweetie. The Reds are not sellers.
No, they're not.
Stop saying like Nick Castellanos is like available.
Yeah, no.
He's not available, guys. He's not.
The Cubs made sure of that when they got
Yeah,
swept. By
exactly.
them.
And they're 4 games out. But yeah, man. I mean, I realistically, not even just being a fanboy, like realistically, think that the White Sox could land a Trevor Story or a Joey Gallo
Oh, they definitely could. Yeah.
for this second half run. Well, it's just weird because, like, as a fan for all these years, you always would like for something like this to happen, but you'd always be like, it's not going to happen. It never does happen.
I think the unique part is though the Sox. I mean, because even when they're like go back to like because I mean they were still pretty good in 04, and obviously they won in 05, 06. Like the talent, like it was always like a veteran group. I feel
Right.
and like obviously this is like a completely different circumstance, and it's like, hey, you have like I mean the only thing that's comparable I think is like 05 when it was clear like no, our team is great.
Mm-hmm.
But that team didn't have the injuries, really.
Right.
So, like, they didn't have the need to. So, it is something new for Sox fans to feel because you really haven't experienced that before.
And listen, yeah, the Sox could easily be the only team that isn't selling in the Central. I mean, the Central's basically like a farmer's market this year. And, but like the White Sox front office has to take a step back and just take a look at this league and know that the CBA is coming up and know, the future is uncertain, and also know that you have an elite pitching staff. You have despite what Twitter likes to say, you have a pretty good bullpen, especially now with Kopech back. Yeah.
And then you're going to put one of your starters in the bullpen come the postseason.
Yeah, and you're getting Eloy and probably Robert back. Like, go get dude. If you don't get a rental right, I don't know what you're doing. If you don't go out and get a Trevor Story or a Joey Gallo or a Chris Bryant or I don't know what you're doing. And the same response that I gave everyone on Twitter, the Bugs Bunny meme of him going, no, when people would talk to me about what's the little shit's name? The second baseman that I'm done with.
Danny Mendez?
Sanchez. Yomer Sanchez.
Oh, Yomer Sanchez. What?
So everybody that tweeted me about
bringing up
this was months ago. This was right when Nick went down. People were like, go get Yomer back. And I would just be like, no. If you tweet at me or mention me or retweet towards me or anything about Javi Baez being on the White Sox, you are getting the Bugs Bunny. No.
I like how that only started because of like a conversation on ESPN.
I mean, I get it. It's tough, dude. Like, we do this for a couple hours once a week. Those guys got to do it every day and for like 4 hours a time. I get why they throw shit out there sometimes like that. I get it. It's a tough job. It's a really tough job. I know personally, like firsthand, it's a very tough job. But Javi Baez is not coming to the White Sox. And yes, his numbers were better as a second baseman, but the White Sox need someone that could hit right-handed pitching. Javi doesn't hit right-handed pitching.
Like he just doesn't fit. Like you already have you already have your power hitters. You already have the slugging guys. Like you need.
And I really, really, really think that it's either going to be, if you ever put like Javi and TA together, it's either going to be the most electric middle infield of all time, or it's just going to mess up everything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just bad.
Yeah, maybe.
If I had to rank who I wanted in order, I want Joey Gallo.
Okay.
Because this is why I want Joey Gallo. And it's funny because people think that Joey Gallo is just a home run hitter, which at the plate, yes, he does strike out quite a bit. But people got to remember, Joey Gallo won the Gold Glove in right field last year. Like, he's good in the field. I've seen too many people be like, well, you could just put Gallo at DH. He's a Gold Glove outfielder with an absolute hose. You know, that would fix a lot of problems for the White Sox. Trevor Story being the second one, whatever. It's Trevor Story, dude. Oh, he can't hit outside of Coors Field. Go look at Nolan Arenado's splits before he left Coors Field. Like, it's just that I think that's a dumb thing. And I also think U.S. Cellular Comiskey rate isn't exactly a pitcher's park. You know what I mean? And who's protecting Trevor Story right now in that lineup? Who can they pitch? You know what I mean? Why would I pitch to Trevor Story? Why would I pitch to Trevor Story right now? Because Charlie Blackmon's going to beat me? Fuck out of here. Same thing with Adam Frazier in Pittsburgh. Oh, he's batting 300. Yeah, he's batting over 300 on an absolute dog shit team. Imagine him sandwiched in between, like, T.A. and Makata. And in the lineup. Cubs announced they traded Jock Peterson to the Braves. Oh no! Stop it.
Yeah, they did. Braves just announced it.
Are you fudging with us?
Welcome to Atlanta, young Jock.
Oh my God, that's
breaking news.
I kind of want a Jock Peterson Atlanta jersey.
All right. Who the hell did they get? I'll keep going while I look this up. No, keep going on the point.
I know. I'm just making my
Cubs announced, like as Nathan told us in the chat, Cubs announced they've traded Jock Peterson to the Braves for first base prospect Bryce Ball.
Well, everybody wanted some Bryce Ball.
Bryce Ball. Let's look up the newest Cub.
Shout out
I was going to say the Gala stuff. I'm surprised.
Friend of the show, Nathan Sheba. Shout out for letting us know. We appreciate that. Engel is the perfect fourth outfielder. I don't want the World Series chances on the back of Goodwin. Keeping it up. Goodwin is a great story. Goodwin's earned his place on this team. Mm-hmm. If we're going into October and Goodwin is starting in the outfield for the White Sox, either he had the best second half ever, or they shit the bed at the deadline.
Yeah. Or like something happened to Luis Robert or something.
Knock on wood, you shut your filthy whorish mouth.
Sorry. Okay, so Bryce Ball, 23 years old, 6'6", 240 pounds, left-handed batter. He was drafted in the 24th round in 2019. His scouting report on the 20 to 80 grade scale: hit 50, run 40, field 40, power 60. Arm 50, overall 45. Yeah. I mean, it's Jock Peterson. They weren't going to get anything special for Jock.
Yeah, the Braves are just trying to find the home runs that Acuna left on the table.
Yeah.
Which is tough. Yeah, we're talking about the Jock trade now. I appreciate all of you coming back into the comments. Let me know.
Bryce Ball, before this trade, he was ranked number 12 in the Braves system, according to MLB Pipeline. I mean, again, it's Jock Peterson.
I know,
Did you see Jock Peterson? Jock Peterson has like a 95 WRC plus against both lefties and righties this year. Not what the Cubs were expecting.
No. Good for him. Where are the Braves at? Braves are 4 games back of the Mets in the East.
Yeah, and obviously they lost Acuna, and that's huge. So
right, and Jock's a more than serviceable outfielder. He can play the field. I mean, losing a guy like Acuna, you're not fixing that. Like, all you got to do is try to like put some things together to like kind of make up for it. But hey, man, if this is the
it's the start of the sell-off.
yes. I just got tweeted by old friend Brian Ferran at 4FO Train 56, whatever. Do you remember last week when 670 Score said it would be Dylan Cease for Jock?
No.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Why? What?
Bernstein said it.
No, he was joking.
No, he was like, I think it would cause Dylan Cease.
No.
They just got the 12th organizational prospect from the Braves for Jock. Dylan Cease, come on, guys.
Well, I mean, Jock Peterson's just not good. Yeah.
No, and it's not going to cost them a 5th starter. Like, come on.
Let's see. Ball hit. Oh, God. Wait. Ugh. Ball hit 207 with 6 home runs in 53 games at single A.
Oh, that is not a good someone that listened to that segment, because I didn't listen to the segment, can you please tell me if they were being facetious?
There's no way.
There's no way they were. I mean, Eloy just hit a single against the shift.
All right, he's back.
Timing's back.
There is no way he's being serious. They're just trying to do the reverse for the Quintana thing, probably, or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's brutal, dude. Come on.
All right, but yeah. Well, I mean,
I like
congrats on
this.
Jock. He gets to be in a playoff race, kind of. We'll see
Yeah,
how
gets
the
to go down to
Braves
Atlanta.
recover.
Nice little hitters park. Get a little protection in that lineup too. It's a pretty solid lineup. But back to what I was saying, like people were worried about Adam Frazier. Oh, I don't want to pay for a guy's career year. Ugh. I brought it up. He's always been decent, and he's on a shit team, guys. Like if it goes Tim Anderson, Frazier, Moncada, there's no pitching around Frazier. And the guy has great bat to ball skills. He's batting over 300. Like, you make that trade too. And because Alex fucking got all in my head and he's in my psyche, I wouldn't mind Reynolds either, dude. Reynolds is a solid ass baseball
Ryan Reynolds
player.
is probably like the number one guy you'd want.
Hand up. I was pretty naive about it. And then Alex brought it to my attention because I was so zoned in on Frazier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. Let's go. Give me some Reynolds. Just Han, you can't sit on your fucking hands. This is not the year to do that. It's not the year to sit on your hands. You have to make a move. You have to get a second baseman or a right fielder. And I know a lot of people want another bullpen arm. If that's part of a deal, that's fine. But I don't like if he goes out and gets like a top-rated bullpen arm and he's like, that was a good trade deadline. No, that's not. You need a second baseman or a right fielder. You need another bat. Please, I'm begging you, Rick. Begging you. Please, Lord have mercy. Come on. It's just, and they're all out there. If Joey Gallo and Trevor Story are definitely getting traded by Jeff Passan, why not the White Sox? Yeah. And I feel like they keep getting linked more to Story. Trevor Story at second base, this team's sick.
Oh, yeah.
This team is sick. Because then you put Eloy at DH, keep Vaughn in left, Robert back in center. Then you have like a platoon of Goodwin and Engel in right field. Trevor's Abreu, Story, Anderson, Moncada. Come on now.
Yeah, no. If you get like a guy like that, you get back to, and then obviously you're getting like Eloy and Luis Robert, like you said, and then Grandal. you go back to what you guys were thinking at the beginning of the year. There is no hole in the lineup.
No. Yankees were linked to fuck. Please stop it. They don't need a right fielder. They got Aaron Judge. Stop it. Bad Yankees.
I think ever since Gallo first started to pop up in rumors, I don't know why, but like right away it was like, oh, Yankees.
I feel like the Yankees are always tied to everybody though.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, my generation growing up, like the Yankees got everyone. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah. But
speaking of Gallo, I'm surprised no one's brought up Sox fans have been like probably scarred from this. The left-handed hitter with low batting averages. Because Joe Gallo, power guy,
strikes out a lot.
He hits like 210. I think he's been better this year, but overall in his career.
Joey Gallo, I think, qualifies as the chain of scenery is going to do him good. I think you get him out of Texas, you put him on a contender, and in that lineup, I think Joey Gallo comes to Chicago and absolutely rakes. I really do. I mean, he's too good of a player. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And then, so I'm glad our friends over at Sockside Agenda, thanks for chiming in, brought this up. I beg that we take our time with Eloy and Robert coming back. So do I.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time,
just need those guys healthy for the postseason.
I am very far from a doctor. You know, Sox fan 69420 on Twitter is very far from a doctor. If an entire medical staff, if you don't think the White Sox are taking every single absolute precaution with these two, you're absolutely nuts. You're being very obtuse.
By the way, I have to go back to this because I just saw James Fox tweet this too about the trade, and he quote tweeted the return. James Fox put, "LOL, that's not Dylan Cease." Like, there's no way they were being serious, right?
Like, Alex just said he listened to the thing, and their tone was very serious.
Like, I don't know if Sox fans are just shitting on the Cubs. Like, go ahead, it's fine. Like, Cubs are bad, they suck. But like, come on. Like,
yes, and I agree. We're in a KB safe zone now because Fiddler's gone, so we could talk about it. I think once KB gets traded, he goes absolutely off too.
Oh, yeah. Wherever he goes.
And KB is more the type of guy that he'll get traded and he'll want to show up for the team that traded for him. You know what I mean? Like he's like, oh, Boston really wanted me. I'm gonna give it, whatever. And like I'm telling you, he's gonna be great on the Red Sox. That's my guess. The other thing too, sneaky. I think the Oakland A's are gonna buy. I think the Oakland A's are gonna go out and get one of these guys.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think the Astros are going to get Kimbrel. In my head, Kimbrel's already on the Astros. Like that to me is silly. People need why do people keep telling me they want Nelson Cruz on the White Sox?
You would want Nelson Cruz. Oh, no, well, yeah, you already have like 5 DH.
What? No, I don't want that. That's a waste. He's going to Tampa. He should. If Nelson Cruz doesn't end up in Tampa Bay, they're fucking up. KB on the Giants next season, I could see that for sure. Get back to California.
I mean, again, going back to this Jock trade, I don't know. I'm just seeing people like getting Bryce Hall for Jock's a heck of a job by Jet. Good start to the deadline. I mean, again, Jock Peterson.
Oh, Eloy struck out again. Send him back down.
Send him back down again.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Bryce Ball, future Cubs first base.
Is that all he plays? Like, can he play anywhere else?
No. I read like while you were talking right now, I read like a brief thing, and it was like, he is known because hopefully he can hit.
Okay. Oh yeah, this boy, he got. Well,
he's 6'6". He's 6'6", 240.
To K-Fid's liking, he bats lefty and throws righty.
There you go. Athletic.
Cross-eyed, whatever Fids was talking about. There you go. You want to watch him bat?
Sure.
This is good audio.
Yeah. Again, another for the podcast listeners. Tune in every Thursday on the stream.
All right, we got a
ad. All right.
Sorry, a little commercial. You can't hear the sound, can you?
Yes.
Oh shoot. No free ads.
All right, here we go.
Right, here we go. Man, that's his highlight.
Oh, beating the shift.
That's his highlight that popped up.
Well, this is a spring training game, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I think he was drafted in 2019. They didn't play in 2020.
So here's the swing again. He stands pretty tall, drops the hands, goes with the pitch. Beats
wait, go back to go back to his batting stance and like pause it. Okay, I mean, I am never code like I don't know like jack shit about like the fundamentals and the intricacies of hitting or whatever, but that batting stance reminds me of a pitcher.
It kind of does. I do like that he's tall. He stands pretty tall here.
It reminds me of a pitcher who's
but like, here, this is where it gets better though.
Yeah, he
gets compact. This is a good. I like this. This is good. We'll have Fids break it down next week.
This is great for the podcast listeners.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get out of this. All right. We're done with that. We'll do that next week too.
Bryce Hall.
We did a 2-parter and then there was a trade, Mr. Yumper. So yeah. We switched it up. Hopefully this opens the door, dude. Let's get these trades going, dude.
Well, this definitely started it.
I mean, Jock's a big name. You know what I mean? Like, that works for me.
Here we go. Positive. Bryce Hall has struggled this year, but maybe has turned a corner over his last 56 plate appearances. He has a 904 OPS.
Okay, there we go. Where's he playing right now for the Cubs? Were you trading Rizzo too?
I mean, he was literally in single A.
We're having a fire sale.
Yep.
Speaking of sale, Chris Sale's doing rehab starts.
Dude, I completely forget about Chris Sale.
Yeah, and apparently he pitched 3 innings and struck out 6 guys.
Nice.
I mean, granted, it's Enterprise rent-a-car guys, but still, like, yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. I can play the clip of them.
Of what?
Hold on. I was just DM'd the clip from 670 Score when they say cease for Peterson.
Okay, let's see. Play it. I need to see like how.
Hold on. Let me get this. Let me know if you can hear the audio.
Nothing yet.
Hold on. All right. Ready?
Yep. Wait, put it louder. Restart it, put it louder.
That's as loud as it goes.
Oh, gee. Wait, let me put my headset louder. Oh, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
if Sox fans are making fun of the caller, all right. But I mean, obviously they weren't serious.
Yeah. So, all right. And I mean, they did say it's a reasonable idea, which it's not. That's a joke.
No, I
But
think, yeah, no, okay. I get okay. If the Sox fans were like making fun of that caller, okay, fair.
yeah. Fids just tweeted out how many people had Jock as the number one in their first traded pool. A first baseman, Bell, is Atlanta's 12th ranked prospect, and a bug dude, 6'6", 240, who bats lefty and throws righty. I told you he was going to. Oh, Alex said we got to keep going on the clip. I'll listen to it later. But what is it, the audio for Ants? Yeah, the audio didn't really translate well, so we're not going to play that again. But yeah, man, hopefully this opens the gate. I'm very, very excited for the second half of the season. I mean, the COVID shit today kind of sucks, but they said that Cease is unknown without sticky stuff. I feel like that's a lazy argument. I mean, I get why people say that stuff, but like, I feel like that's turned into a real cop-out type shit lately. If a pitcher has a bad game, no sticky stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And by the way, people have been railing on Garrett Cole, myself included. And then he went down to Houston and just he was throwing fuck you fastballs like they were going out of style. And he was just like, here's your sticky stuff. Either that or he figured out a new way to put it on, which could possibly be the whatever. But I don't know, man. I really don't got much else. I'm very, 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 very excited for the second half of the season. White Sox fans should be. I mean, hopefully this trade deadline turns out to what we need it to be. And if the White Sox or the Cubs, for that matter, if the Cubs trade KB or Rizzo or Javi or Contreras, we'll hop on either one way or the other. If the White Sox make any trade, I'm hopping on.
Well, that's why you hopped on for that Gallon trade. Yeah.
Gallon.
By the way, John Haven points out no money changed hands in the Braves deal for Jock.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
So Cubs saved $3 million. Good job, Ricketts. Yay for you. Yes. And then Rosenthal says, Jock. If obviously the Braves, I think they're, what'd you say, like 4 games back of the Mets?
Yeah.
Like if they don't get it going, they could always just trade Jock in a couple weeks.
Just keep them moving, man. Yeah. Keep that going. What a night to do a trade when there's absolutely no sports on. Like literally every tweet is about this Jock Peterson for single A prospect trade. Like whatever, dude. It's cool. I mean, am I missing anything? Did we forget anything that happened this week?
Just the All-Star game stuff.
The COVID stuff, which
that
it is what
today.
it is. And then the trade deadline, man. It's I'm pumped, dude. I'm pumped. I feel it in my plums that Han's gonna do something right. It is now 7:50 p.m. Central Time. After we log off here, make sure you go and find the 108 guys for their 100th show. Again, congrats to those guys. And then DMs are open, fellas. Support the show. Buy some merch. It's midsummer. You probably pit stained some of your good T-shirts. Go buy some new ones. Rick had saved some cash. Poor guy lost so much last year.
Exactly.
Mailman check from the clouds right before we sign off. Like, rate, review, share with your friends, family. You guys, you have no idea how much one review or one rating or one share means to us. It helps out so much. It takes all 5 seconds. Help us out. You can always help out the show. We got the link pinned. Follow us at Pinwheels Ivy Pod. Again, if and when any trades happen, we'll either jump on here or we'll just do a live video on Twitter, depending on where we're at the time. Hopefully Han's not a jag-off and like does like, 11:30 p.m. trade. Some of us got young kids, dude.
Oh, by the way, your boy, Devi Gruyen, he had a home run.
Yeah, see, what's up?
453 to dead center.
Yep. Han's on fire, dude. Yeah. Ooh, Bernstein and Bernstein show is taking a beating on Sox Twitter right now.
Yeah. I need to hear that clip. They cannot be seen.
I'll send you the full clip. Sorry the audio didn't translate, guys. Nathan, thank you, bud. Thank you you broke the
big trade.
Yeah, you broke the big trade to us.
First big trade of the season.
I'm gonna make sure I send this to you right now, Aldo. Copy link to tweet. And yeah, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Thanks for ESPN professional caller K Fids for coming on the show. We really appreciate you helping out the little guys here.
And thank you.
Yeah, if you guys need anything, DMs are always open. Although I'm sending this to you now.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you. Be good to each other. Take care, everybody.